Chapter 1. Even an F rank can risk their life. Xinhua Kingdom, Donghai City. Tokai Master Revival University. Under a cherry blossom tree on campus, a man and a woman were standing there.
Lord Qin Tian, I am Li Wan, a second tier, C rank sword attendant.
Please form a contract with me. I wish to become your attendant.
A woman wearing a plain white dress and glasses bowed and handed a bank card, a property certificate, and a car key to the man, Qin Tian. Here is a dowry of 300,000 yuan, an 80 square meter apartment in the Donghaicheng Xintiandi residential complex, and a Volkswagen Passat. Qin Tian looked at the woman in front of him, and data popped up in his field of vision.
Alternative attendant, Li Wan. Age, 18. Talent level, C rank sword attendant. Class, 2. Height, 162 centimeters. Weight, 47 kilograms. Measurements, 75, 66, 73. Appearance, 63. Favorability, 60. Note, if your appearance score is below 90, you do not meet the system requirements and cannot activate the ability granting in 100x return function. Looking at the system notification, Qin Tian secretly regretted it. If it were his previous life, and such a good girl had confessed to him, he definitely wouldn't have refused. Now. I'm sorry, I may need to think about it some more. If you can't wait, you can go find another master. Qin Tian refused.
The pretty woman with delicate features looked up, her eyes filled with disbelief. She touched her chest, looking somewhat devastated.
Why? I'm a tier 2 C rank sword attendant. The girls around looked over and saw that it was the servant making a face at the master, hoping that the other party would form a contract with him. They couldn't help but come over to watch the fun. A C rank, second tier servant wants a master contract? You should work harder and reach the third rank before you talk about it. Isn't this the F rank master, Lord Qin Tian? Although he's considered the worst among the masters at Fuxing University, it's still good enough that I was able to form a contract with him. I don't want to go to the Death Army.
Unfortunately, it seems that Lord Qin Tian values the appearance of his servants more, and he has rejected many girls who are of average appearance.
This attendant, you should know that Qin Tian is quite particular about looks, right?
Although you look alright with makeup, Lord Qin Tian just didn't take a liking to you.
That's right.
Our Fuxing University has more than 10,000 students, but only a little over 100 masters. Not to mention the A-rank masters, there are hundreds of servants chasing after them every day, and even the F-rank masters are in high demand.
This world is very cruel.
Servants without contracts have to worry about serving and being sent to the battlefield as cannon fodder. Masters must worry about being eaten by the demon queen, for the demons are the best food and elixir.
Last summer, the 7th tier mermaid queen led tens of thousands of fishmen to land in Donghai City. Of the city's 30 million inhabitants, 800,000 died. Fortunately, Qin Tian didn't apply to a prestigious master university located by the sea, which is far from the coastline. I know you value looks. I don't think I look bad with makeup. Why won't you sign me? Li Wan cried out loudly. Qin Tian stared at the other person expressionlessly and asked, "You really want to hear it?" Li Wan nodded, her voice trembling with tears, and said, "Yes." Qin Tian calmly said, "I hope my first attendant will be a beautiful attendant even without makeup. I might choose you once I find one." Li Wan was stunned and stood there for a good 10 seconds. Just because of that? Qin Tian nodded, yes.
Li Wan pointed to her face, the face she had meticulously made up for her confession, and looked at her with a question mark. Just because I don't look good without makeup? He had no choice but to keep nodding.
Right.
Li Wan took a half step back, the corners of her mouth turned up slightly, and then burst into laughter.
Me? Is it because I'm not good looking without makeup that I can't become your first servant? Ha 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 ha. I can't do without makeup? Ha 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 ha.
The girls around her sighed one after another, saying, "This woman has gone mad."
So Lord Qin Tian wants natural beauty.
No wonder so many pretty girls failed. They don't look good without makeup. Li Wan laughed wildly, almost falling over, looking like a madwoman. Then, she burst into tears, pointing at Qin Tian and yelling,
"Qin Tian! You bastard! I'm not putting up with you anymore."
After saying that, she wiped away her tears, turned around and ran away, leaving Qin Tian unmoved.
Qin Tian shrugged helplessly.
If it weren't for his own lack of ability, he would quite likely won.
However, he didn't want to see Li Wan living in fear with him.
This city appears peaceful on the surface, but in reality, countless demon queens disguise themselves as humans to hunt down their masters. Once he is targeted, not only will he die, but his servants who try to protect him will also perish.
This is the choice of fate. If I don't have a sword in my hand, I can't protect you. If I always hold a sword, I can't hold you tight.
However, not long after, Li Wan ran back.
Qin Tian was slightly startled.
He looked at the other party without saying a word, knowing that too much talk could lead to mistakes.
With tears streaming down her face, she choked out as she asked Qin Tian, "You really only make contracts with the school beauty, and not with me?"
"Yes."
Qin Tian confirmed again.
Li Wan twitched her nose slightly and said sadly, "Fine.
I'll just tell you one thing. The school beauty from Tongfu University next door,
Wang Mingmei, was attacked by a 5th-tier undead wolf while on a mission. Yesterday, it was determined that her origin was destroyed, and she lost her rank knight talent. Even if she's only a 3rd rank knight, she's still a piece of trash."
"Don't you like the school beauty?"
"She is.
Go and form a contract with her." Qin Tian's eyes widened, and he grabbed Li Wan's shoulders. "Is this really true?"
Li Wan trembled violently. This was the first time she had ever seen Qin Tian so agitated.
Could it be that Qin Tian was really going to make a contract with that good-for-nothing? That's not right.
She clearly wanted the other person to know that forcing a contract with the school beauty would not end well, but she had already said it.
She gritted her teeth and nodded. "Why would I lie to you?"
Right now, everyone in the entire East Sea City's servant circle is laughing at her. Originally, an S-rank master took a liking to her and wanted to form a contract with her, but she was so arrogant and kept him hanging on. Now that she's lost her talent, not only do S-rank masters look down on her, but even the lowest rank F-rank masters avoid her.
Qin Tian laughed heartily. "It's all right. They may not like me, but I do. Isn't this heaven helping me? No one's competing with me, it's awesome." Seeing Qin Tian's reaction, Li Wan's eyes widened, and she retorted, "Are you out of your mind?
Even though she's crippled, she's still a 3rd-tier rank. That bastard Master-Servant Association won't demote her just because her talent is ruined."
When a master accepts a mission, it's based on the rank and number of their servants.
Her Tier 3 rank will increase the difficulty of your mission several times over. If she were still capable, it wouldn't matter, but now that she's crippled, how are you going to complete the mission?
"You'll die." Qin Tian couldn't help but glance at Li Wan again. This girl really cared about him.
Rejecting a girl like her made him feel a little guilty. He will definitely come back when he has enough power.
"I hope you won't have been taken away by the contract by then."
"It's all right, I have a solution," Qin Tian said with a smile.
Li Wan looked Qin Tian up and down with suspicion, and asked in return, "You don't actually think that you can restore her talent with your F-rank master magic, do you?"
Qin Tian thought for a moment, then nodded, "Maybe, since the system could grant servant talents." Li Wan touched Qin Tian's forehead, then her own, and frowned, saying, "You don't have a fever, so why are you talking nonsense? Tell me where she is. I need to go and make a contract with her."
Qin Tian excitedly asked Li Wan, "What if a high-level master doesn't care that her talent has been ruined and only takes a fancy to the school beauty? Then it will be too late."
Li Wan was so angry that she forgot her sadness and pushed Qin Tian away.
"Qin Tian. You bastard. You'd rather find a piece of trash than me. You like the school beauty, right? Fine, I'll tell you. She's currently at Master Tongfu University, in dormitory area number 32, building number 603. If you're going, then hurry up and go." Qin Tian was overjoyed and turned to run away, not forgetting to thank Li Wan at the same time. "I will never forget you."
All he heard was Li Wan shouting loudly behind him.
"Qin Tian. You bastard. Just die already." "Never mind, I'll live. I'll wait for you." Chapter 2: The Fragile Wang Mingmei. Master Tongfu University Campus. Qin Tian walked along the main road of the campus, looking at the beautiful girls everywhere, walking in groups, chatting and laughing.
Upon spotting Qin Tian, their eyes lit up, and one by one they boldly approached to strike up a conversation. One of the girls, a long-haired girl in a red dress, brushed a strand of hair behind her ear and smiled gently at Qin Tian.
"Master, are you alone? Want to go for a drink with your sister?"
Qin Tian turned his gaze to the tall, slender, and charming girl in the red dress who was much prettier than Li Wan, and the system panel that popped up appeared.
Unfortunately, it didn't reach 90.
Qin Tian could only smile and refuse, "I'm sorry, I have something to do."
The girl in the red dress left helplessly.
The girl in the red dress is gone, and now a girl in yoga pants has arrived.
Master, since you're alone, how about coming to the gym with me for a workout? We can have a good workout together tonight. Is this exercise legitimate?
But after glancing at the other person's appearance, I realized they were only 76 years old and had a high degree of flexibility, so I figured they could probably do a lot of difficult moves.
Just thinking about it made me a little excited.
But he's here to make a contract with the school beauty, so he can't let it interfere with his business.
I need to find someone urgently, maybe next time.
The woman in yoga pants smiled slightly, tracing circles on Chin Tian's chest with her finger. Remember to contact me, I live at. After saying that, she gave Chin Tian a quick kiss on the cheek, smiled, and left.
As expected of Tongfu University, which is a level above Fuxing University, the quality of these attendants is truly high.
After rejecting 7 or 8 girls in a row, he aroused the curiosity of a master.
Hey bro, you're a new face. What brings you to our school?
Chin Tian glanced at the sunny and cheerful young man in front of him.
He left behind a group of beautiful female servants and came over to talk to him. I'm looking for someone. Do you know how to get to Wang Mingmei's place? Su Hong was taken aback. What do you want with Wang Mingmei? Chin Tian smiled and said, I'll make a contract with her. She's already useless, why would you contract her? Su Hong asked, somewhat puzzled. Even if you're an F-rank master, you shouldn't lack servants to contract with you, right? Can you tell me why you're looking for Wang Mingmei?
Chin Tian frankly said, I hope my first attendant is a stunning beauty, like a school beauty queen.
I really need an attendant like that. Su Hong looked at Chin Tian with amusement, interesting. Then, he asked Chin Tian seriously, but have you thought about the consequences of making a contract with a useless school beauty?
He sighed, our master isn't so simple after all. If you contract a useless servant, it will increase the difficulty of your later missions.
You should know that, right? Chin Tian nodded, I know, but I don't regret it. I just love beautiful women.
I'd sleep soundly if I held a beautiful woman in my arms at night. Su Hong was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. That's right, I sleep with a different beautiful woman every night, but none of them are as good looking as Wang Mingmei.
Since you're so interested, I'll show you the way. I also want to see what Wang Mingmei is like now. Really?
Of course. Su Hong patted Chin Tian on the shoulder. Don't worry, I won't take it from you. I'm not interested in useless servants, nor am I interested in Wang Mingmei.
Although she is very pretty, she's not my type. Chin Tian asked curiously, why? Su Hong said calmly, Wang Mingmei gives me a feeling of fragmentation, like diamonds shattered on the ground.
She's beautiful, but unreal. I still prefer passionate and outgoing girls. He chuckled, brother, you should know that once a servant forms a contract with their master, it's usually for life, which is equivalent to binding their entire being to their master. I don't want a broken mirror to appear in my passionate back garden, that would be too much of a spoilsport. Su Hong and Chin Tian chatted and laughed all the way. After getting to know each other, Su Hong sighed to Chin Tian, these servants are actually no different from bloodsuckers. You know, servants form a contract with their masters and, after obtaining spells, can extract magic power from our bodies to accelerate the servant's growth.
Even F-rank masters experience double the speed.
S-rank masters have 10 times the speed. Magic not only increases the cultivation speed of these blood-sucking worms, but they can also temporarily boost their combat power by consuming magic. We train our servants to protect us, which is good, at least it makes things much easier for us. You must understand, we are the guarantee of humanity, our deaths would be a tremendous loss. At this point, Su Hong instructed Chin Tian, for this kind of useless school beauty, one contract is enough.
Just play around with her.
I still suggest that when you find a servant in the future, you must choose one who is excellent, hardworking, and has a good personality. Then, he said contemptuously, those weak, lazy, and bad-natured servants, let them all enter the army of death and die.
A bunch of spineless bastards, don't they know their place? They dare to throw a tantrum at us? They dare to give us attitude? They dare to negotiate with us? These disobedient servants should all die. Su Hong's tone was filled with resentment, as if he harbored an irreconcilable hatred for women. Led by Su Hong, they arrived at Wang Mingmei's residence.
Chin Tian looked at the 2-story detached house in front of him, with its pure white exterior walls, which were particularly exquisite.
Su Hong asked again, are you really going to form a contract with her?
Yes,
are there any other questions? It's nothing, I just wanted to say that after you sign the contract, I can borrow it to play with. Is this normal? That's normal. Everyone does it this way. Good things should be shared.
If you take a fancy to any of my servants, just tell me, and I'll lend them to you for a few days.
I don't have that fetish. All right.
Su Hong stood at the door, rang the doorbell, and said coldly into the intercom, Wang Mingmei, one of my brothers wants to form a contract with you.
Do you want to see him?
After a while, a soft, delicate voice came from the walkie-talkie.
A master wants to form a contract with me? Really? Su Hong said coldly, why don't you see for yourself? Qin Tian waved at the camera and said, yes. It's me. I want to form a contract with you.
Wang Mingmei, inside the room, stared at the cheerful and sunny Qin Tian on the screen, slightly stunned, somewhat incredulous, feeling that this was a lie.
But then I thought, what if it's true?
After calming herself down, she opened the door and said softly, okay, come in.
Qin Tian and Su Hong walked into the house together.
It was very clean and simple, with many ornaments hanging on the walls, such as teddy bears, yellow ducks, and wind chimes.
In one corner of the living room, there was a Steinway grand piano with sheet music on it. Snap. Snap.
Footsteps came from upstairs, and Qin Tian peeked out. The first thing that catches the eye is a pair of fair and delicate feet. She is barefoot, stepping lightly on the wooden floor, as if each step would break her.
When Qin Tian saw Wang Mingmei's full appearance, he gasped.
She wore a light white chiffon dress, her figure was slender and graceful, her collarbones were prominent, her arms were as soft as willow branches, her eyebrows and eyes were slightly lowered, carrying a faint melancholy, but she also had a pale pink smiling mouth, which created a strong contrast. It seems that every smile and frown of hers is very forced, as if she is trying to please the world, but in reality, she is detached from it. A delicate beauty, intertwined with girlishness and fragility, is vividly displayed in her. Alternative attendant, Wang Mingmei. Age, 21. Talent level, none. Class, 3. Height, 162 centimeters. Weight, 42 kilograms. Measurements, 82, 60, 76. Appearance rating, 93. Favorability, 40. Note, players with an appearance score of 90 or higher can use the talent bestowal ability, granting them S-rank healing, S-rank purification, and S-rank protection.
Wang Mingmei looked at Qin Tian with a serious expression and asked softly, are you really willing to make a contract with me? Chapter 3 The school beauty begs me to take her in.
Qin Tian stared at the woman before him, who seemed so broken and vulnerable, utterly astonished.
While Qin Tian was stunned, Su Hong sneered and said contemptuously, Wang Mingmei, you should be grateful.
My brother here is attracted to your looks, not your abilities.
You'd better serve my brother well tonight and stop giving me attitude and making demands every day. Don't you even know your current situation? Get down here right now, kneel in front of my brother, take his feet and kiss them, then let him lift you up, serve him well, make him happy, this is your only chance. Let me tell you, all the masters at Tongfu University are laughing at you. They say you're pretentious, troublesome, and arrogant because you think you're pretty. You won't let anyone touch you or kiss you. Who do you think you are? You're just a damn filthy servant.
Without our contract, you'd be going to the Death Army and becoming those officers' playthings.
Upon hearing this, tears welled up in Wang Mingmei's eyes.
Her slender hand gripped the stair railing as she slowly slid to the ground, her eyes filled with helplessness, bewilderment, and sorrow. Qin Tian felt a pang of heartache looking at Wang Mingmei like this, and said to Su Hong, well, there's no need to be so harsh with your words. Su Hong snorted, patted Qin Tian on the shoulder, and pointed at Wang Mingmei, we have to be this ruthless. Let me tell you, brother, this woman is just shameless. She's always telling us to care about her, love her, and take care of her.
Pa!
There's no shortage of beautiful women in this world.
I'm an S-rank master.
I was out of my mind when I proposed a contract to her, and she actually gave me a whole bunch of conditions.
It made me so angry. Let me tell you, Wang Mingmei, although you are very beautiful, you are not my type. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it, so don't blame me for being ruthless. A hint of sadness flashed in Wang Mingmei's eyes. She seemed about to say something, but Su Hong, seeing her like this, burst into laughter. Look, look. You're playing the victim again. I'm not buying it. Get down here right now.
Su Hong's voice was extremely weak as he pointed in front of Qin Tian and said, quickly, take off your proud long dress and use your last bit of value to please my brother.
If he's happy, he won't have to go to the Death Army as cannon fodder after we form a contract.
As he spoke, Su Hong's lips curled into a slight smile. I heard that the pretty cannon fodder in the Death Army are taken advantage of by high-ranking officers before heading to dangerous battlefields, so as not to be wasted.
Qin Tian's throat bobbed when he heard Su Hong want Wang Mingmei to serve him right now. He was a little excited at the thought of sleeping with her right now. But what Su Hong said next moved Qin Tian even more. That would be too tragic. Su Hong's fierce and cruel words constantly irritated Wang Mingmei's mind, and she clutched her head in utter terror. Wang Mingmei looks as if the whole world has abandoned her. Qin Tian felt he should say something to comfort her. However, before he could act, the front door of the house was kicked open with a bang, and a group of women in black rushed in. They frowned slightly when they saw Su Hong and Qin Tian in the room. The woman at the head of the group politely gestured for Qin Tian and Su Hong to step aside. "Excuse me, the royal family of Kyoto is on official business. Please make way for us, my lords." When Wang Mingmei saw the person who came, she was so frightened that she curled up all over. "You, how did you get here so quickly?" "Of course we're taking you home. Young Master Yang is looking forward to meeting you and has instructed us to bring you there as soon as possible." "No." Wang Mingmei hugged herself, her whole body shivering with cold. She came from the royal family of Kyoto, a powerful clan of masters. Because of her beauty and good personality, she was used as a bargaining chip by the masters of the clan to exchange benefits with other powerful master clans. Wang Mingmei was unwilling to become a bargaining chip or sacrifice herself, so she ran away to Donghai City for further studies. As long as she found an excellent master, her family would be unable to do anything to her. However, now that her original talent has been destroyed, almost no masters are willing to form a contract with her. Her family called and asked her to go back, saying that they would send her to the young master of the young family in Kyoto to be a maid until she entered the Death Army. If she doesn't sign the contract soon, she will fall into the abyss. She doesn't care who contracts with her, even if it's an F rank, even if it's an ugly, lazy, and useless F rank. She gazed at her master, who was staring blankly at her. He was rather handsome. If he could become her master, he could solve all the problems she was facing. For the sake of the future, she stood up shakily, gritted her teeth, clenched her fists, walked to Qin Tian, knelt down, grabbed Qin Tian's pants, and bowed her head. "Please. Make a pact with me. Please. Make a pact with me. Master. Please. I'll do anything if you're willing to form a contract with me." When Qin Tian was grabbed like that, he looked at the crying Wang Mingmei and felt a pang of heartache, as if diamonds had shattered on the ground. Just as he was about to say something, Su Hong pulled Qin Tian away. Qin Tian was completely confused. "Brother, what are you doing?" Su Hong advised, "Brother, let's not mess with the Wang family. They have an 8th level master. If they want to cause you trouble, you'll be in a very passive position." Su Hong turned to look at Wang Mingmei with disdain and said contemptuously, "Wang Mingmei, you're only thinking about not wanting anything now? What were you doing just now? Now, your only fate is to be played with by the young master of the young family until he's tired of you, then sent to the Death Army, played with by those officers until they're tired of you, and then thrown onto the battlefield to become dirt." The servant of the Wang family smiled slightly. "This master, you know a lot." Su Hong laughed heartily. "This is such a pretentious servant. She should be thoroughly tormented, otherwise she won't know who the master of this world is." Looking at Wang Mingmei, who seemed to be shattered into pieces, Qin Tian couldn't help but sigh at the cruelty of her fate. She finally escaped from her family, but before she could find a master she liked, she ended up in this situation. He knew something about the army of the dead. It wasn't always called that, it was known as the Master Corps. Because the battle with the Demon Queen was so brutal, masters and their servants suffered heavy casualties, and the male-to-female ratio once changed from 1 to 100 to 1 to 150. Finally, more than 100 years ago, the masters awakened. They felt that they were born superior, and why should they selflessly fight for that group of incompetent, blood-sucking, and numerous servants? Therefore, the system of the Master Corps was modified, with the core being the recruitment of unclaimed servants. The most dangerous tasks on the battlefield were all assigned to these servants, while the Master Corps only needed to find opportunities to reap the rewards. They don't care how many people die. More than 100 years ago, when I was risking my life on the battlefield, these lowly servants would laugh at and mock my incompetence after each defeat. Now, they are sending these women who only know how to talk to each other to the battlefield, so that they can experience what true incompetence is. Of course, toying with them before they died in battle, and to destroy their spirit, was also a means of revenge for them.
Originally, only a few extreme masters did this, but later, everyone found it fun, so it became a military tradition. Su Hong looked at Wang Mingmei, whose condition had worsened, with disdain.
This pretentious woman deserves to go to hell. What is she pretending for?
The servants of the Wang family stepped forward and tried to pull Wang Mingmei away, but Wang Mingmei buried her head in her hair.
It's over.
It was all over. She felt that her life was over. She struggled for 20 years, dreaming of a bright future, but it all vanished in the end. Just then, a thunderclap exploded in her ears, as if a ray of light had appeared in the dead silence, and someone had pulled her out of the darkness. In one's life, there are always a few times when one feels as if the gates of heaven have opened.
Wang Mingmei waited for 20 years, and at her most desperate moment, the gates opened. Let go of that girl. Qin Tian strode forward and shoved aside the Wang family's servant. Su Hong looked at Qin Tian with a confused expression. Brother, what are you doing? He walked up to Wang Mingmei and said in a clear, cold voice. Wang Mingmei. What are you waiting for there? Didn't we agree to go to the Master-Servant Association together to sign the contract? Chapter 4, Taking Wang Mingmei Away at All Costs. Ah! Wang Mingmei was stunned. She had never felt this way before. It was as if she had suddenly gone from a cold hell to heaven, like a piece of ice thrown into a furnace. She was about to be burned to death by this scorching heat. It's so cold lying on the ground, what if you catch a cold? Qin Tian pulled Wang Mingmei up and then carried her in his arms. Wang Mingmei was somewhat at a loss. She forgot to resist, or rather, she didn't want to resist. If all of this is true, she hopes it will last forever. The captain of the guards frowned and stopped Qin Tian. Master. She is the woman the young master of the Yang family in Kyoto has specifically requested. Please put her down. Qin Tian looked at the woman coldly and asked without any hesitation, I'm taking her away today, and no one can stop me. This. The woman was speechless for a moment. Qin Tian continued, I'm going to form a contract with her now, binding the relationship between servant and master. Even if the emperor comes, he can't touch my servant. This was inscribed on the 10 fundamental regulations for the master and attendants by the first emperor of the Xinhua kingdom. Are you planning a rebellion? The woman was completely dumbfounded when Qin Tian suddenly put such a huge accusation on her. If she can't bring Wang Mingmei back, she'll be punished by the master. But the other party was her master, so she didn't dare to do anything. She couldn't physically stop him, but she still mustered her last bit of courage and threatened him. You'll offend the Yang and Wang families, 2 powerful families in the capital. Are you going to ruin your future for a piece of trash? Qin Tian smiled dismissively, the future? If I don't make a contract with her, I truly have no future. He looked at Wang Mingmei in his arms, who was gazing at him with longing, and smiled gently. She is my future. These words were like a confession. Wang Mingmei swore that it was the most touching, sincere, profound, and beautiful confession she had ever heard. She buried her small head in Qin Tian's arms, silently acquiescing to everything. We'll see, Qin Tian said dismissively. Do they dare to do anything substantial to me? I am a master, and even if I am only the lowest F rank, I am still a key protected individual of the Divine Flower Kingdom. If I am killed by them at will, they will all go in, and you servants, you will all be executed. The servant of the Wang family was sweating profusely and trembling all over. As Qin Tian passed by Su Hong frowned slightly and asked, Are you really going to make enemies of the Wang and Yang families for this woman? Qin Tian glanced at the wicked woman, of course. Qin Tian thought Su Hong would be angry, would roar, would look down on him. Su Hong burst into laughter, pointing at Qin Tian and saying, Brother, you're hilarious. Your spirit of going against the world for your goal is so cool. I can't help but give you a thumbs up. Don't worry, take her with you. The Wang and Yang families will only make things difficult for you within the rules. They won't do anything to directly harm you. You just need to be careful. I'm here, they can't touch you. I'm an S-class after all. Qin Tian looked at Su Hong gratefully and said with a smile, Brother Su, thank you. Let's have a drink together sometime. Su Hong waved his hand, don't worry about it. If we're meant to meet, we'll meet again. Su Hong laughed heartily. He hadn't seen such a passionate young man in a long time. He was willing to go against 2 powerful families in order to contract a ridiculously beautiful but useless woman. Such men are almost extinct in this era. 100 years from now, the relationship between master and servant will be quite harmonious.
They will love each other, take care of each other, face difficulties together, support each other in that era, and fight for the future together.
That era must have been amazing. Unfortunately, in this era, the conflict between master and servant has become extremely acute.
If it weren't for the contracted servants, which made completing tasks easier, he felt that servants were just for fun and there was no need to be bound to them for life.
Hurry, bro. They're after you. Oh. Qin Tian carried Wang Mingmei and ran out of the house laughing.
There was a car parked in the yard, a black BMW M2.
Qin Tian asked Wang Mingmei, who was in his arms, "That's your car, right? Where are the keys?" Wang Mingmei gently grabbed Qin Tian's collar and whispered, "Put it on the left front wheel." Qin Tian got the keys, opened the car door, and placed Wang Mingmei in the passenger seat.
However, when he stood up, he found that Wang Mingmei was still holding onto his collar.
"I can't drive like this."
Wang Mingmei cried out in surprise, quickly let go of his hand, and lowered her head in the passenger seat without saying a word. Qin Tian sat in the driver's seat, placed the car key on the center console, pressed start, and the engine roared, but did not move.
Qin Tian turned to Wang Mingmei and said, "Seatbelt." Wang Mingmei was startled.
She raised her hand and fumbled around, searching frantically. Even though the safety devices were all there, she just couldn't find them.
Qin Tian reluctantly crawled over, fastened Wang Mingmei's seatbelt, and then watched as Wang Mingmei obediently placed her hands on her knees.
The two looked at each other, their breaths brushing against each other's faces.
Wang Mingmei's eyes were filled with affection. Qin Tian swallowed hard, then leaned in and kissed Wang Mingmei's lips. Wang Mingmei's eyes widened, but she did not resist. Instead, she closed them.
The BMW sped along the road, heading towards the Master-Servant Association. Looking at the rapidly receding crowds and cars, Wang Mingmei felt like she was dreaming.
"Thank you for saving me. I will reward you. Is 1 million enough?" Wang Mingmei whispered. "What's the reward?" Qin Tian glanced at Wang Mingmei.
"It's about you pulling me out of that hell and not letting me get arrested," Wang Mingmei said softly, her head bowed.
"We're going to sign a contract, so why distinguish between yours and mine or what kind of compensation we'll receive?" Qin Tian said casually. "Ha?" Wang Mingmei was stunned.
She looked up, her eyes filled with confusion.
"You really want to make a contract with me? Isn't this just an excuse to take me away?" "Of course." Qin Tian nodded. "I came here specifically for you." "Specially for me?" Wang Mingmei's heart pounded, then she said dejectedly, "But my origin is destroyed."
"Having a third-level life class is like having muscles but no bones, completely useless."
"I don't care," Qin Tian replied. Wang Mingmei turned to look at Qin Tian curiously. "Why do you want me to be your servant?" Qin Tian frowned slightly. "Why were there so many girls?" "You really want to know?" Simply because you are too beautiful." "Ah?" Wang Mingmei was stunned. "Just because she's pretty? There are so many beautiful girls in the world, why choose her?" Wang Mingmei asked again.
Qin Tian said impatiently, "Don't you know that in this world, pretty girls with even a little talent are easily contracted by high-ranking masters? Those without talent end up in brothels, which I find disgusting."
"I'm just an F rank. Why would those talented girls choose me over high-ranking masters?" "Are you handsome?" Wang Mingmei whispered, looking at Qin Tian's sharp profile. Thank you for the compliment." Qin Tian said, turning the steering wheel, "We've arrived." The BMW M2 turned into the parking lot and turned off the engine.
Qin got out of the car, walked over to Wang Mingmei, and pulled her towards the main hall of the Master-Servant Association, where they were to complete the contract. Wang Mingmei blushed and lowered her head, looking at the hand that Qin Tian had taken, a hand that was warm and gave her a sense of security.
"Ouch." Wang Mingmei frowned and called out. Qin Tian turned around and asked with concern, "What's wrong?" Wang Mingmei looked embarrassed and whispered, "I stepped on a pebble, it hurts a little, let's keep going." Qin Tian then noticed that Wang Mingmei was not wearing shoes and was walking barefoot on the asphalt road.
Without saying a word, he picked up Wang Mingmei and scolded, "You should have said so earlier."
"Oh." Wang Mingmei lowered her head shyly, "I'm afraid you'll think I'm being pretentious." Qin Tian smiled wryly. Was this girl really the school beauty, and really the once glorious third-rank attendant? Why are you being so humble? Chapter 5, The Contract Completed. Wang Mingmei, who gave everything? Master Servant Association. Contract Registration Hall.
The person in charge of registering the contracts was a blonde, fit man who frowned slightly as he looked at the information on the registration form.
Setting down the registration form, the blond man's deep-set, icy blue eyes fixed on Chin Tian. Young man, are you sure you want to take this third-tier woman, whose origin has been destroyed, as your servant?
My personal advice is to just have fun with this kind of woman. There's no need to take her as a servant.
Do you know the responsibilities you'll bear if you contract a third-tier servant?
He earnestly warned Chin Tian, this is your first servant. 1 month after the contract is signed, even while you are studying at university, you will be assigned a specific third-tier mission every month. If you fail to complete it, you will not only face a fine of 500,000, but also be punished by having to replenish the magic power of at least 10 unclaimed servants free of charge. Wang Mingmei, standing to the side, bit her lip, lowered her head, clutched her skirt, and said softly, Lord Chin Tian, I'm sorry, I'm just a burden.
Let's not make a contract.
Wang Mingmei pushed back her chair, trying to stand up, but Chin Tian pulled her back to her seat. Wang Mingmei was stunned, feeling the hand being held tightly, and felt incredibly warm inside.
Chin Tian calmly looked at the contract official and said indifferently,
I'm certain I'll enter into a contract with her.
Please approve.
The blonde contract officer gave Chin Tian a deep look and smiled slightly. Since you've made your decision, I have no reason to refuse you. I believe this third-tier attendant must have a lot of savings. As long as we find a powerful attendant before the savings run out, it won't be a problem.
With a flourish of his pen, he magically signed his agreement on the contract application, handed the form to Chin Tian, and then said, if you want to find a suitable servant, you can come to the Master Servant Association at any time. There are countless unclaimed servants registered here, and they are all eager for your contract. Thank you, brother. Boy help boy. Although these servants have it tough, we boys are no less so. Let's survive and create a better future together. Yes. Let's create a better future together. After receiving the application form, Chin Tian took Wang Mingmei's hand and led her to the contract area. There are more men to be seen here now, and they usually come out with several women. The women have happy smiles on their faces and keep looking at the incantations on the back of their hands, which are the marks of a contract. As long as they have this mark, they can draw magic power from their master and accelerate their growth. Why are you being so nice to me? Wang Mingmei asked. Chin Tian casually said, I'm saying, with your looks, it's such a waste for you to be a maid or join the Death Army. Is this all right? With a soft chuckle, Wang Mingmei covered her mouth and laughed. Lord Chin Tian, you are so witty. I am not worth you doing this. Chin Tian pursed his lips. You look so pitiful and helpless. I have a strong protective instinct and can't bear to see you like this, okay? When I found out that a school beauty had her origin destroyed and no master wanted her, I immediately ran to your school to find you. I rushed all the way. Looking into Chin Tian's eyes, Wang Mingmei knew he wasn't lying. She was so moved she almost cried, but she held back. It wasn't a wasted trip. You are truly beautiful. I think it's great that you've become my attendant. As a master's attendant, protecting one's master is a must, Chin Tian said. You've got it backwards. As servants, protecting our master is what we should do. Wang Mingmei covered her mouth and chuckled. Knowing her place in Chin Tian's heart, she was very content. Although she was crippled, she could still manage her daily life, so she decided to be a maid. A private maid exclusively for Lord Chin Tian. In the contract area, in one of the rooms, there is a magic circle. The staff member has turned into a woman with runes on the back of her hand. She is a servant with a master. She had Wang Mingmei walk into the magic circle, while Chin Tian stood outside the magic circle. Wang Mingmei, barefoot, walked onto the magic circle, turned to face Chin Tian, and closed her eyes. The staff member knelt down and touched the magic circle. The entire magic circle lit up, and a large amount of magic power surged out, blowing up Wang Mingmei's thin dress. She then said to Chin Tian, let's begin the contract. You should have already learned it by now. Chin Tian nodded, stood in front of the magic circle, raised his right hand towards Wang Mingmei inside the magic circle, and whispered. Your body is under my command, and my destiny is bound to you. As he spoke, he released red magic power from his right hand, which merged into the magic circle, turning the entire magic circle red. The entire magic circle unleashed a torrent of magical power, turning the entire room blood red. All of this crimson color, magnified to its extreme, was absorbed by Wang Mingmei within the magic array. Her entire body was stained red, which lasted for a period of time before slowly receding, ultimately leaving a crimson incantation on the back of her right hand, a mark unique to Chin Tian. Contract terminated.
Wang Mingmei, whose contract had been successfully signed, opened her eyes and looked at Qin Tian with affection. She walked to Qin Tian, knelt down on one knee, took Qin Tian's raised right hand, kissed the back of his hand with her red lips, and whispered, "From this day forward, I am your servant, and I am willing to use my flesh and blood to protect you from any harm. I will give you everything for your imperial ambitions." After reciting the oath, Wang Mingmei raised her eyes and met Qin Tian's gaze, as if she were about to offer her soul. Qin Tian smiled, grabbed Wang Mingmei's hand, pulled her into his arms, and picked her up amidst her gasp. "Instead of wasting time on this nonsense, you should hurry home and cultivate. I'm going to try to heal your fundamental nature." Wang Mingmei stared blankly at Qin Tian as he carried her out of the room. She hugged Qin Tian's neck, rested her small head against his chest, and nodded gently. Although she knew the chances of a cure were almost zero, how could she refuse since Lord Qin Tian had said so? They did not return to Master Tongfu University, but instead went back to the detached villa that Qin Tian had assigned to them at the school. Unlike Wang Mingmei, who had to rely on her own abilities to get that house, even though he was only an F level, he still had his own villa and yard. The house was neat and tidy, the floor was very clean, and freshly washed clothes, including underwear, were drying on the balcony. Seeing this, Qin Tian blushed slightly. He treated Li Wan like that, yet she still came over to clean today. Wang Mingmei stepped onto the spotless wooden floor and said softly, "I didn't expect Lord Qin Tian to pay so much attention to personal hygiene." Qin Tian blushed even more and said awkwardly, "I'm not that clean. This was done by a servant who was pursuing me, and I've already rejected her." Wang Mingmei smiled slightly, gently stroked the furniture and wallpaper in the room, and said softly, "From now on, I will help you with these things. Although I can't fight, I will definitely take good care of your daily life and not let you have any troubles." Suddenly remembering something, Wang Mingmei said, "All right, I become your servant today, so according to the rules, I should give you the betrothal gifts." Qin Tian was stunned. Wang Mingmei rested her rounded chin on her hand, pondered for a moment, and then spoke. "Over the years, I've earned 3,233,000 yuan from completing tasks. I'll transfer that money to you via online banking in a bit. I also bought 2 apartments in Donghai City, a 120 square meter 3-bedroom, 2 living room apartment on Kyoto Road and a 50 square meter 1-bedroom, 1 living room apartment on Suwei Road. As for cars, there's the BMW M2 parked outside and a Porsche Panamera I ordered. This is all I have. From now on, it's all yours." Chapter 6, so it's about healing. "I belong only to you. You're giving me all of it?" Qin Tian stared at Wang Mingmei in disbelief. "Aren't you going to keep some for yourself?" Wang Mingmei shook her head. "How much money I can spend is entirely up to Lord Qin Tian. If Lord Qin Tian wants me to not spend a single penny, then I will only accept gifts from Lord Qin Tian." As she spoke, she joked, "Lord Qin Tian wouldn't let me starve to death, would he?" Qin Tian chuckled and ruffled Wang Mingmei's hair. "Since the contract was successful, you've become much more cheerful." Wang Mingmei enjoyed Qin Tian's caress, raised her eyes, looked at Qin Tian timidly, and said softly, "I have long decided that whoever makes a contract with me, I will dedicate everything to them and not let them be troubled. If I face Lord Qin Tian with that kind of expression, Lord Qin Tian will definitely feel annoyed. In order not to annoy Lord Qin Tian, I will make myself appear cheerful." Looking at Wang Mingmei trying so hard to please him, Qin Tian couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Since they had already formed a contract, he decided to give her the ability now. "Come over." Qin Tian pulled Wang Mingmei upstairs to his room. Wang Mingmei blushed, lowered her head, and gently bit her lip. Upon entering the room, she glanced at the bed, hesitated for a moment, then placed her hand on the zipper behind her back. "What are you doing?" Qin Tian asked. "Huh?" Wang Mingmei was startled. "You didn't mean to." Qin Tian was both amused and exasperated. "Why are you in such a hurry? Do you actually have a lot of experience?" Wang Mingmei shook her head repeatedly. She grabbed Qin Tian's hand and burst into tears, explaining, "No. I didn't. I never did. I just thought you." Qin Tian looked at Wang Mingmei, who seemed about to shatter, and couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Just a joke had made her so scared. He patted Wang Mingmei on the shoulder and whispered in her ear, "I will definitely eat you, but not now. Heal your wounds first." "Oh." Wang Mingmei blushed furiously. After realizing she had misunderstood Qin Tian, she wanted to crawl into a hole. Qin Tian told Wang Mingmei to lie on the bed. She obediently lay down, put her legs together, closed her eyes, and looked uneasy. Qin Tian stood by the window, closed his eyes, raised his right hand, and red magic flowed out of his body, forming countless red tracks in the room.
Then, these tracks extended one by one into Wang Mingmei's body, and Wang Mingmei's body slowly floated up. Attendant, Wang Mingmei. Age, 21. Talent level, grants S rank healing, S rank purification, or S rank protection. Please select. Class, 3. Height, 162 centimeters. Weight, 42 kilograms. Measurements, 82 43 76. Appearance rating, 93. Favorability, 100. Looking at the available abilities, Qin Tian almost didn't hesitate and directly chose S-level healing. Returning it to him 100-fold would at least be SSS level. If an SSS level healing technique could be used to cure Wang Mingmei's other talent, then Wang Mingmei would be an extremely rare dual talent servant. S-level healing confirmed. Abilities begin to be granted. Red magic power was released from Qin Tian's body and surged into Wang Mingmei's body like a torrent. Wang Mingmei endured the magic power and couldn't help but frown and let out a soft moan.
At the same time, the magic power, after passing through Wang Mingmei's body, was amplified 100-fold and returned to Qin Tian's body. The exhilarating feeling spread throughout his body, causing him to unconsciously increase the release of his magic.
The more magic he released, the more tense Wang Mingmei's expression became.
The pain didn't last long before her brows relaxed, her complexion became rosy, and the corners of her mouth turned up slightly.
The entire process of granting abilities lasted from daytime into nighttime. Once the power was fully granted, Wang Mingmei was gently laid down on the bed, her breathing even, as if she had fallen into a deep sleep. Qin Tian opened his eyes, utterly astonished. Holy crap! This SSS level healing ability is actually this kind of healing power. He trembled as he looked at the SSS level healing ability analysis on his panel. This isn't just ordinary healing, it's the kind of healing that happens in The Healer's Reboot. It's not just about healing, but the ability to restore the object to its original state. It also has a fatal flaw: everything experienced by the target of the healing will be completely transferred to the caster in an instant, causing unimaginable pain that ordinary people's mental strength simply cannot withstand. The derivative capabilities can be used directly. Imitation, copy the opponent's combat skills and experience, even their class-specific skills. Plunder, can steal the energy from the opponent and use it for one's own purposes. Improvement, optimize the state of the object, and even allow the other party to break through the limit on the spot by sacrificing its own energy. Deterioration, makes the target vulnerable because it is healing. The target will not resist this ability. With just this one ability, he is already terrifyingly powerful. Unfortunately, he glanced at his rank and found he was only at the first rank. Even the most capable person needs a foundation. He couldn't help but glance at Wang Mingmei lying on the bed. She was at the third rank. If he plundered her energy, he could definitely reach the third rank directly. Qin Tian shook his head repeatedly. No. This is my servant. How could you do something so inhumane? She's already so pitiful. She finally awakened her S-rank ability, and then I plundered her third-tier energy. Haven't all these years of her life been wasted? First, treat the root cause of her illness. With no other thoughts in mind, Qin Tian placed his hand on Wang Mingmei's lower abdomen. Healing, ability activated. A crimson light illuminated the entire room. At the same time, Qin Tian saw Wang Mingmei's past and wondered why this pitiful woman was so timid and tried her best to please him. Feeling the flames of energy rekindling burning in her lower abdomen, Wang Mingmei awoke from her slumber. She looked in surprise at Lord Qin Tian, who was standing before her with his eyes closed, seemingly treating her. The power reviving in her lower abdomen was very familiar to her. It was none other than her A-level night talent. She could no longer hold back her tears. This master actually managed to restore the energy he had lost. The gate of heaven, which he had waited 20 years for, was finally worth it. With a master like this, what more could she possibly want? When she checked her physical condition, she discovered that not only was her rank night ability reviving, but she also had another powerful ability. Cure. She tried to understand this ability, and the more she learned, the more surprised she became. Although it had significant flaws, it was extremely useful. Suddenly, she realized that Qin Tian's method of treating her was exactly the same as her own ability. Could it be that? She stared in surprise, her eyes widening. Qin Tian is actually a very powerful master, though he appears to be an F rank. Such a powerful master was actually willing to save a piece of trash like me and even heal me.
She must have accumulated countless lifetimes of merit to have met such a wonderful master. She studied the healing ability again and was surprised to find that it could also transfer her own energy to the other person through healing, making the other person stronger. She thought that she was at the third rank, but Lord Qin Tian was only at the first rank. If she could transfer her third rank to Lord Qin Tian through healing and make him a third rank as well, it would be a way of repaying this kindness. But she could never repay this kindness, she would spend her whole life repaying it. When the 11 knight's abilities were restored, Wang Mingmei was already in tears. She looked at Qin Tian, who looked exhausted, and felt heartbroken. Just as Qin Tian was wiping his sweat and about to say something, Wang Mingmei silenced him with a kiss and began her healing act. The steel spear is the banner of the future. The moment you seize the future, you take a step closer to hope. After closing her eyes and touching it, she discovered that it was the hope she had waited for 20 years. She had no regrets and gave everything for it. Piercing through the blood-soaked city walls, from now on there will be no need to lament one's fate. Because she has now arrived in the true kingdom of heaven. Like a bird spreading its wings and soaring high, reaching the highest point in the world. If they take me away, I might not be able to go anywhere and become a walking corpse. The world is so cruel, yet I still met you. No matter what sacrifices it takes, I will protect you, even if it's a wrong decision, I will have no doubts. Even though the world is so cruel, your warmth bursts forth in my heart. Under the bright red flag, I sing aloud, amidst the dazzling stars. Then, everything that constitutes my life, I dedicate to you at this moment, I belong to you alone. Chapter 7, a top-tier girl only needs 3,000 yuan in pocket money. The next morning, Qin Tian woke up, looked at the ceiling, and smiled. With a creak, the door opened. Wang Mingmei, wearing Qin Tian's oversized shirt, came to the bedside carrying a bowl of freshly cooked dumplings. Lord Qin Tian, it's time for breakfast. Qin Tian sat up in bed and looked at Wang Mingmei, who was so beautiful even without makeup. There was a hint of fatigue in her brows, but her eyes were full of enthusiasm, as if she saw the light of a better life. He checked his panel and, sure enough, it was so. Host, Qin Tian. Age, 19. Class, 3. Talent, F rank recombination, SSS rank healing. Achievements. Light of a desperate girl achievement effect. When a beautiful woman around you needs help, she will think of you first. Save her, and you will gain all her loyalty and favor. They will be willing to give you everything. Last night, Wang Mingmei used S-level healing to transfer all of her third-tier power to herself, while she herself became a first-tier user. Although she now possesses both F rank and SSS rank talents, and can use the magic of her SSS rank talent to provide Wang Mingmei with 100-fold acceleration in her cultivation, it's only a matter of time before she returns to the third rank. However, the fact that she could so decisively and unreservedly give me this power shows how much she wanted to please me and hoped that I wouldn't abandon her. In his previous life, he was foolish and kept trying to please his girlfriend, but in the end, she still left him. In this life, times have changed, only women try to please men, but he can't let the girl down like that. Qin Tian chuckled, looking at Wang Mingmei's cautious expression, as if she thought he didn't like dumplings and that he had done something wrong. He's not that heartless. He'll be good to whoever is good to him. A two-way approach is the best. You've put in so much effort, so I have to give you something in return, right? You healed me, and I healed you too. You seize the future, I explore the future. You see there are dumplings in the fridge. I thought you liked them. If you don't, I'll go out and buy some for you. Wang Mingmei was so anxious that she scratched the floor with her toes. Qin Tian laughed and said, I didn't say I didn't like to eat. I was just waiting for you to feed me. I was so tired after healing your injuries yesterday, and I haven't even had a chance to rest. And you're giving me trouble. I don't even want to move my hands now. Wang Mingmei blushed instantly, as if her face was about to bleed. She sat stiffly on the edge of the bed, scooped up a large dumpling with a spoon, gently blew on it to warm it to a suitable temperature, and then tremblingly brought it to Qin Tian's lips. Qin Tian watched Wang Mingmei's shy expression as he ate his dumplings, feeling very pleased. Having a school beauty with a looks score of over 90 as a servant is awesome. The system went to great lengths to ensure it only ate fine bran and forbade itself from eating coarse grains. From this moment forward, we will resolutely uphold the system's guidance. From now on, all the servants must be of school beauty caliber. Not only must she be a school beauty, but she also has to be a clean-cut young girl. Otherwise, I would be doing a disservice to my current SSS level talent. He never expected that this talent with a hundredfold return could actually enhance his talent as a master, and even give him 2 talents.
On the surface it's F rank, but it's actually SSS rank. It's a bit like playing dumb to fool the enemy. However, master rank F and SSS are not actually very important. When out and about, few foolish masters would go around bragging about being an SSS rank or an F rank, as if they were afraid the monster queen wouldn't be able to find a target. Most of the direct descendants of those powerful families are low-level talents. If you go around showing off that you are an S rank or SSS rank, you will be targeted by those powerful family masters. Although they won't do anything to you, they will definitely cause you a lot of trouble. Therefore, when masters meet, they generally don't compare their own talent levels, but rather the talent levels of their servants. As long as he tells the outside world that his attendant has S-level talent, everyone will respect him, even if he is only F-level. After finishing the dumplings, Qin Tian looked at Wang Mingmei's ill-fitting shirt and frowned slightly. Wearing this isn't a good solution. Go back and get some clothes. Wang Mingmei shook her head. I don't want to go back to that place. After becoming your servant, I just need to live here with you. I'll have a moving company deliver my personal belongings from there.
Qin Tian noticed a hint of fear on Wang Mingmei's face, as if she was afraid that she would encounter the Wang family's servants and be forcibly taken back with her when she returned.
Even though the master and his attendants were present, preventing them from taking action, Wang Mingmei was still afraid. Qin Tian sighed and ruffled Wang Mingmei's hair. All right, then I'll take you shopping for clothes.
Great. Wang Mingmei's eyes lit up, her face beaming with smiles. She hugged Qin Tian and said affectionately, anyway, I've already handed over all my money, so I'll like whatever clothes you buy me.
How about I give you some pocket money? Qin Tian asked. Would 10,000 a month be enough? Wang Mingmei shook her head repeatedly. 10,000 a month is too much. Too much. Qin Tian was stunned. You once earned at least 3 million as a third-tier attendant, and you actually say that 10,000 a month is too much? He even felt it was a bit too little. Wang Mingmei said softly, I usually only eat some snacks each month, which costs less than 1,000. I occasionally buy a few clothes, and 1,000 is about right. I also buy some small trinkets from time to time, which costs between 500 and 1,000. That should be enough. Give me 3,000 a month. 3,000 yuan a month for pocket money? No. With your stunning looks, your fragile yet captivating beauty, you're a campus belle that everyone feels sorry for, yet you only ask for 3,000 a month? In my past life, if I had a girlfriend like this, I wouldn't even give her a second glance unless I spent tens of thousands of dollars a month. If you only spend so little each month, what do you need so much money for? I see you bought 2 cars, both luxury cars. You must like cars. Wang Mingmei blinked and explained, all the money I earn is for my future master. Those cars are also part of my dowry. I rarely drive them myself. Qin Tian sighed, my God, what a treasure girl I've found. She only needs to spend 3,000 a month to support him, and she gives everything she earns to her master without keeping a penny for herself. She is also so considerate and always thinking about pleasing him. She's so stingy with herself, how can I be stingy with her? Even if you gave her that much money, she probably wouldn't spend it, she would just save it and then give it all to herself when she hands over her earnings. No way. Starting today, I'll give you hundreds of millions every day. Wang Mingmei was stunned and asked, where did you get hundreds of millions? Qin Tian smiled slightly, you forgot? I already gave it to you yesterday? After understanding, Wang Mingmei blushed and covered her face, saying, then, you have to give it to me. Qin Tian laughed, patted Wang Mingmei on the head, got up, and went to the wardrobe to change his clothes. Wang Mingmei asked, are we leaving now? Qin Tian said, yes. He tossed Wang Mingmei a pair of loose-fitting sweatpants. Wear these first, I'll take you shopping for clothes. Oh. Wang Mingmei nodded. At the entrance, Qin Tian pulled Wang Mingmei, who was dressed awkwardly in a white shirt and black sweatpants, out the door. Since Qin Tian always wore men's shoes, Wang Mingmei was wearing slippers. Her pearly toes, nervously clenched together, were especially adorable. BMW M2 engine starts, target, Meiluo City. Chapter 8 Akami's best friend. The Genji sisters. On their way to Meiluo City, they passed by an Apple mobile phone flagship store. Qin Tian thought of something, parked the car at the entrance, and asked Wang Mingmei, what model was your previous phone? Wang Mingmei said, Little Me 10 Youth Edition. Isn't this a model from 5 years ago? Didn't your suitors give you any gifts? Qin Tian asked curiously. Wang Mingmei replied, I gave it to you, but I didn't use it. I think as long as a phone can make calls and watch videos, that's enough. There's no need to pursue so many performance features. Don't you take selfies or anything? Qin Tian asked again. Wang Mingmei looked at Qin Tian with a puzzled expression. Why take selfies? I'd rather use that time to train, become stronger, and earn more money. Qin Tian sighed. Damn it, this girl is just too rare. If it were any other girl, with such beauty, she would definitely take selfies every day and post them on social media to show off. Even Li Wan, who was rather ordinary looking, would confidently take a selfie and send it to Qin Tian, hoping to receive his praise. When I came into this world, the girls who wanted to pursue me would send me selfies, photos of my legs, photos of myself after taking a shower, photos of my newly bought clothes, and so on. At first he was very interested, but after seeing so many, he lost interest. But he would still look at selfies of beauties of school beauty caliber. I'll buy another one when you give me some pocket money. I think that model is pretty good. Unable to bear it any longer, Qin Tian dragged Wang Mingmei inside and bought her a brand new Apple 17 Pro Max. Then, they went to the nearby telecommunications store to get a replacement SIM card. Wang Mingmei looked at the phone that Qin Tian had already opened and stuffed into her hand, as if she were holding a scalding hot sweet potato. It's too expensive, she said fearfully. Over 10,000. I don't need something this nice, just buy me a regular one. I told you to use it. So you use it. Don't you even listen to your master anymore? Qin Tian glared at her fiercely. Wang Mingmei dared not speak, she just lowered her head and gripped her phone tightly with both hands. Ding ding ding. Suddenly, Wang Mingmei's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and answered the call. Hello. Before she could even begin to speak, a furious roar came from the phone, forcing Wang Mingmei to pull the phone away. A woman with a mature and assertive demeanor spoke up in a strong voice. Mingmei. You bastard. Where did you go? We've been looking for you all day, have you been kidnapped? Then came an extremely worried voice, speaking with a gentle yet firm tone. Mingmei. Tell us where you are, and we'll come rescue you right now. After the other person finished yelling, Wang Mingmei held the phone to her ear with both hands and whispered. Aki, don't worry, I'm fine. I'm going out to buy clothes with my master. Master, the mature female voice asked in confusion, you made a contract? Who is the other party? What are their talents? Which university did they attend? Faced with several questions in a row, Wang Mingmei didn't know where to begin answering. She secretly glanced at Qin Tian. Sister. You still have the mind to ask this. Let's go find her now, and we'll know, won't we? The gentle voice said. Mingmei, where are you going to buy clothes? We'll come find you right now. Wang Mingmei was still looking at him, waiting for his permission, and Qin Tian nodded. Wang Mingmei then replied, go to Meiluo City. Fine, the mature woman said coldly, we'll be there in 10 minutes. Sister. You're going to speed again, the gentle younger sister said anxiously. Aki, hurry up and get dressed. Otherwise, I'll be leaving by myself. Wait for me, my Nei-chan. The call ended. Wang Mingmei put down the phone and looked at Qin Tian with a wry smile. I'm sorry, they are my friends. They probably called me because they were worried something had happened to me. Aki and Mai both appeared in Akemi's memories. They were her very good friends and confidants. Qin Tian drove and said casually, it's good to have such good friends. You've made some good friends. Wang Mingmei had just changed her phone and had only recently regained communication when she called. She must have called many times, and kept calling. Wang Mingmei smiled broadly and nodded emphatically. Aki and Mai are twin sisters, both of them are very good people, and we often go out together. Upon arriving in Meiluo City, they found 4 or 5 men gathered at the gate. In a world where there are far more women than men, a ratio of 100 to 1, it is extremely rare to see so many men at once. They seemed to be surrounding something. Qin Tian looked over and was shocked to find that the men were surrounding 2 women. One of the women was tall and slender, wearing a purple backless dress, with long legs encased in black stockings that were very eye-catching. Her long, jet black hair was tied into a ponytail at the back of her head, revealing her fair and slender neck like a kendo girl. Her bright face was wearing an expression that said, "Oh, you guys are so troublesome." Her eyes, painted with red eyeshadow, were long and slender, like a blood-stained long knife. Her sideburns were long and black as night. The other girl was more elegant and pretty, with a generous and graceful smile.
She wore a white and green color blocked faux shawl shirt dress, and her slender legs were encased in pure white stockings.
She kept exchanging pleasantries with these men, never getting tired of it.
When the men realized that the two girls seemed to have no chance, they could only leave helplessly.
The pretty girl even smiled and waved goodbye to them.
When Wang Mingmei saw the two girls, she was overjoyed and pulled Qin Tian along as they ran up to them.
Aki. My.
You're here so early?
The girl with long sideburns frowned slightly, stepped forward, ruffled Wang Mingmei's hair, and said angrily, "Can you please stop disappearing? Do you know how worried I was about you? After you were attacked and hospitalized the day before yesterday, I even went to the hospital to look for you, only to find out you had already been discharged. If I look for you again, just lock yourself in the house and don't come out. I called you yesterday, but you didn't answer at all. Tell me what's wrong. I'll figure something out for you." Wang Mingmei smiled slightly and looked up at the bright girl in front of her. "Thank you, I'm fine now." Mai glanced at Qin Tian beside Akemi and asked coldly, "Is this your master?" Wang Mingmei happily took Qin Tian's arm and introduced him generously, "Yes.
This is my master whom I contracted yesterday.
Lord Qin Tian. From Masters University of Reconstruction, talent level F rank."
Mai stared wide-eyed at Qin Tian, wanting to say something, but in the end she didn't. "Never mind, it was your choice." She extended her hand to Qin Tian and introduced herself. "I am Mai Minamoto, a third-year student at Master Asaka University." Qin Tian shook hands with the other party and smiled. "Master Fuxing University, first year, Qin Tian." Mai shook hands with him and then withdrew her hand. Another pretty girl, with a smile on her face, also reached out her hand to Qin Tian.
"Master Tongfu University, third-year student, Minamoto Aki."
"Hello." Aki held Qin Tian's hand tightly, then gripped it with both hands, continuing to express her gratitude.
"Thank you for agreeing to form a contract with Mingmei. If you hadn't, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Thank you so much." Just then, the system panel popped up. Alternative attendant, Minamoto no Aki. Age, 20. Talent level, a rank win lord. Class, 3. Height, 165 centimeters. Weight, 45 kilograms. Measurements, 86, 60, 83. Appearance rating, 91. Favorability, 40. Note, players with an appearance score of 90 or higher can use the talent granting ability, which grants the S-rank Indra's Wrath, S-rank Breath of the Gale, and S-rank Invisible Army. Chapter 9, the sisters' favorability rating skyrockets. "So, you've been best friends since elementary school?" "Yes, that's right." Aki smiled slightly. Qin Tian feigned surprise as he looked at the three stunning beauties walking beside him. The system also displayed data about Mai Minamoto. Alternative attendant, Minamoto no Mai. Age, 20. Talent level, a rank Thunder Domination. Class, 3. Height, 175 centimeters. Weight, 49 kilograms. Measurements, 99, 63, 92. Appearance rating, 93. Favorability, 28. Note, if your appearance score is 90 or higher, you can use the talent granting ability, which can grant you S-rank Mystic Eyes of Death Perception, S-rank King of Armies, and S-rank God of War of the Azure Sky. These two sisters possess abilities that are like wind and thunder, one gentle and the other aloof. The three of them had been friends since elementary school and attended the nationally renowned National Jinling School, a school for servants. A full-time school that integrates primary and high school education. The students who are able to attend this school are all girls from large families. They've been roommates since elementary school. Actually, there was another girl in the four-person dorm, but unfortunately, that girl died at the hands of a monster a year ago, leaving only the three of them. The girl died because her master was incompetent and failed to assess the situation, allowing the servants to continue the attack when they were about to retreat, which led to the death of their best friend. The master survived and even received a pension from the Master Servant Association. Faced with this result, the three of them were furious, but what could they do? They couldn't even utter a curse. They could only decide together that they must find a master they could trust and that they must not let the wrong choice lead to their deaths. They even joked that they wanted to find the same master. Mai glanced at Qin Tian and asked, "You said you were going to buy clothes for Akemi. What kind of clothes are you planning to buy for her?" Qin Tian thought for a moment and said, "Buy whatever type Mingmei likes." Mai pouted, "She just loves wearing white dresses. Her house is full of white dresses." Now that she's become your servant, do you want to see her wearing white dresses every day, wandering around in front of you like a female ghost? Ha! Shin Tian was stunned by Mai's description. Sister! Aki said, slightly annoyed, Akami is just not good at dressing up, how can you say that? Mai said, you know she's not good at dressing up, and I know that too, but what can we do? She's just stubborn and insists on relying on her abilities, even though she could rely on her looks. Mai looked at Wang Mingmei with a disappointed expression, you're so pretty, yet you don't know how to dress up. You could easily get in touch with SS rank or even SSS rank masters, but you insist on saying you want them to see your strength, not just your looks. Mingmei felt ashamed after being criticized by her best friend. Now it's all good, I've found an F class. At this moment, Akemi looked up, frowned, and said, Lord Qin Tian isn't as bad as you think. He's an exceptionally excellent master. The powerful master I saw last night was definitely someone who was hiding his true strength. Lord Qin Tian is an incredibly powerful master. He appears to be an F rank, but he definitely has ulterior motives. Even if the master wants to do this, he won't say it out loud. Mai was stunned. It was the first time she had ever seen Akemi so angry. She turned her head away, looking melancholy. Mai, please apologize to Lord Qin Tian. Akemi resolutely defended Qin Tian's dignity. Qin Tian felt that Mingmei was taking it too seriously. It was just an F rank. Even an F rank could walk sideways in this world. But what surprised Qin Tian even more was that Mai actually apologized to him. Although she looked reluctant, she didn't want to create a rift between her and Akemi because of this. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that to you. Please forgive me. It's nothing. Qin Tian waved his hand, I was originally F rank, you weren't wrong. Mai blushed slightly, and seeing Akemi's relaxed expression, she said gratefully to Qin Tian, thank you. Qin Tian was slightly taken aback. She discovered that Mai's favorability rating towards her had actually increased from 28 to 35. When Qin Tian asked Mingmei what clothes she wanted, she actually went to a store, pointed to the simple white dress, and said she wanted this one. Qin Tian sighed. Just as Mai and the others had said, this guy had absolutely no sense of fashion and was only carrying himself with his face. Mai has a great sense of style. Her backless dress perfectly showcases her fair skin and figure, while the sheer black stockings make her long legs look like an unattainable treasure. Aki also has a bit of fashion sense. Her elegant purple and green dress, paired with pure white stockings, and her bright and cheerful smile, make her look adorable to everyone. Qin Tian thought about it for a moment, and the stunning scene he had seen that day suddenly reminded him of a type of clothing that would be absolutely perfect for her. He dragged Akemi around searching, with Mai and Aki following behind, curious about what clothes this master would choose for Akemi. Not only that, they also felt that this master was somewhat different. How many masters care what their servants wear? These are things the servants consider themselves. Masters are only responsible for appreciating. If they don't like it, they simply won't look at it. They only care whether the servants have become stronger, whether they can help them complete their missions, and whether they can gain face in front of other masters. In this mall where the vast majority of items were women's clothing, Qin Tian dragged Mingmei across 2 floors, leaving Mai and Aki stunned. What master would accompany their servant to pick out clothes for so long? This master was willing to search for so long just for a piece of clothing. Immediately, their favorability towards Qin Tian increased. Aki's affection level dropped to 50, and Mai's affection level dropped to 45. Finally, Qin Tian found the dress, a dark blue off-the-shoulder dress. Give it a try. Mingmei looked at the unfamiliar dress in front of her, feeling somewhat embarrassed. She turned to look at Qin Tian with pleading eyes, as if to say that the white dress she had just worn was fine. Even though she didn't shed a tear, she gave the impression that she was about to cry. Disobeying me? At this moment, Qin Tian had to assert his authority as the master. Good. Mingmei bit her lip lightly, took the dress, and went into the fitting room. While Akemi was changing her clothes, Aki walked up to Qin Tian and grinned, Lord Qin Tian, are you free next week? Qin Tian asked in confusion, I don't have anything planned for next week, so I should be free. What's wrong? Aki put her hands behind her back, glanced up, and after a moment of silence, said, yeah, to celebrate Akemi finding her master, I'd like to celebrate together. I happen to have a few tickets to Fairy Tale Amusement Park, want to go together? Mai could tell at a glance that Aki had taken a liking to this F-rank master, and she couldn't help but frown. My younger sister has so many S-rank masters pursuing her, and several masters who are interested in her,
but she almost never takes the initiative to invite masters out to play like this.
What is the magic behind this F rank?
He made Akemi so angry with him, and made Aki ask to go out and play. She carefully observed the man before her, lost in thought.
Chapter 10, The Demon Queen Appears. A craving for SSS rank magic.
Akemi emerged from the changing room with her long hair piled up behind her. As she walked out, she held her clothes tightly between her arms, as if afraid that her off-the-shoulder dress would fall down. She placed her hands on her chest, concealing the soft, spring-like lines beneath the silk.
I still don't think this outfit suits me.
Her eyes darted around like an anxious rabbit as she spoke softly, but no one listened to her.
Aki and Mai were both stunned by the stunning beauty of Akemi. Not only them, but the customers who were shopping in the store were also amazed by Akemi.
There's such a beautiful little sister in this world.
Wah! I want to hug her so badly. But if I hug her, I feel like she'll break right away. I'm so anxious. Shin Tian crossed his arms, a slight smile playing on his lips. Just as he thought. Isn't this just a carbon copy of that goddess from my previous life?
Wang Zuxian was able to star in a Chinese ghost story because the other actress was fully booked, so the role was given to her. In this world, because of the existence of elements such as talent, Akemi is clearly more beautiful than that goddess, and she can maintain her youth for a longer period of time. Unexpectedly, he struck gold.
Akemi!
You're so beautiful. Aki cheered with delight and ran to Akemi, wanting to hug her, but then raised her hand and hesitated.
Akemi looked at Aki with a puzzled expression and asked, "What's wrong?"
Aki clenched her fist, then lowered her hand and said sullenly, "I'm afraid you'll break if I hug you."
Akemi smiled slightly, raised her hand, gently picked up Aki, and said, "I'm not that fragile."
After letting go of Aki, she took Aki's hand and walked up to Shin Tian.
Shin Tian touched her fair face and said gently, "It's very beautiful. I regret choosing this outfit for you a little. I don't dare to hug you now." Mingmei smiled and hugged Shin Tian's waist. "What do you mean you don't dare to hug me? You weren't like this to me last night. You were like you were going to crush me. I had to heal myself to keep up."
Mai and Aki, who were standing to the side, stared wide-eyed.
Mai looked on incredulously.
She took a half-step back, shielding herself with her right hand, and exclaimed, "Kami!
You actually got together with him so quickly." Aki covered her mouth, her pretty face blushing. "Oh my! Akemi is so bold."
As she spoke, she pulled Mingmei aside and whispered to her, "Come and tell me about it."
Akemi glanced at Shin Tian secretly, a slight smile playing on her lips, and then whispered to Aki. Aki kept exclaiming in surprise. "Wow! Really? Wow! That's amazing! Oh! Is that even possible?" Shin Tian sighed. "Is this what best friends talk about? No wonder there are rumors online that if you post a conversation between your best friends, someone will come knocking on your door to check your water meter the next day." Suddenly, Aki screamed, and all the girls shopping in the store looked over. "You've awakened your second talent?" Akemi clearly hadn't expected Aki to say it so directly, and she panicked like a little lamb. She covered Aki's mouth, but it was too late. Mai was shocked. She looked at Shin Tian and frowned, saying, "Your magic has caused Akemi to awaken a second time?"
Shin Tian had never intended to hide anything, and answered frankly, "That's right, she has great talent." Mai looked proud, a smile playing on her lips. "Of course, she's my best friend, someone I approve of.
Her talent is absolutely top-notch."
She stared at Shin Tian's sharp profile, lost in thought. She always felt that this master was not so simple. It was no accident that Mingmei was able to awaken a second time. It seemed that in his eyes, it was something that was bound to happen, something that did not need to be surprising or proud of. Just as everyone was immersed in the joy of learning about Akemi's second awakening, the mall's alarm sounded.
"Attention all guests! Attention all guests! A Tier 3S rank monster, codenamed Bloodstained Black Rabbit, has been discovered near Master Purple Light University. A Tier 3S rank monster queen, codenamed Bloodstained Black Rabbit, has been discovered at the nearby Master Purple Light University. All guests, please proceed to the shelter immediately and complete the evacuation. All guests, please proceed to the shelter immediately and evacuate." A loud alarm blared in the mall, and all the customers panicked. A Tier 3 monster, and an S-rank one at that. Mai and Aki were pale. Although they were both third-tier servants with A-rank talents, they were still quite powerless against the third-tier S-rank monster queen.
Even though they are both in the third tier, the difference between a level and S level is like an insurmountable chasm.
Of course, Donghai City has no shortage of Tier 3 S rank masters, but those masters may not necessarily take action.
Because the other party is the queen. The official designation of her as a queen implies that she is a terrifying monster.
If we fail and get eaten by the opponent, then we're doomed. Not only will you lose your life, but you will also strengthen the opponent.
The broadcast said it was a Tier 3S rank, but didn't specify what stage it was. If it was the late Tier 3 stage, about to enter Tier 4, that would be a disaster. The fourth tier and the third tier are also a dividing line. Only those who reach the fourth tier are truly strong. Mingmei awakened her talent in elementary school, and despite her hard work, she is still stuck at the third level, which shows how difficult it is. Qin Tian is an F rank, and he only awakened his powers last year, so there's no need to say more.
Hurry up! Mai said sternly, the school is just across the street.
Aki, holding Akemi's hand, returned to Qin Tian and Mai's side and said angrily, these monsters are despicable. They hide their identities and infiltrate the school. I don't know how many servants and masters have been eaten by them before they could grow to the third rank. Qin Tian sighed helplessly and followed the others to seek refuge. Those monsters and yokai often hide their identities and disguise themselves as humans. In their eyes, human society is a buffet restaurant, and as long as one takes the bait, they can be full. The growth rate is astonishing. Humans are not unaware that they are hiding among humans. The school conducts a large-scale census every month to find them.
But schools can conduct surveys, but what about outside of schools?
With tens of millions of people in Donghai City, a census is conducted every month.
Such a huge expense is something few local governments can afford. At most, it will be checked once a year. Moreover, those imposters aren't stupid.
Every time you investigate, they hide, and once the investigation is over, they hunt down and kill those humans whose identities are safe. It is safe to say that countless people die from this every year. Qin Tian could only be thankful for his good luck he hadn't been targeted by the imposters all these years. However, he didn't know that the reason the monster was exposed was because of him.
The top of the teaching building at Master Purple Light University.
A stunningly beautiful girl with jet black eyes and blood red pupils, wearing a black and red JK uniform and thick black stockings, carries a huge scythe. Behind her floats a giant black rabbit with incredibly sharp claws, on which hang severed limbs. She gazed in the direction of Meluo City, a slight grin spreading across her face, revealing bloodied silver teeth as she spoke menacingly.
An SSS level flavor. It's absolutely SSS grade flavor. I really want to eat it.
Chapter 11, a new derivative skill of healing, control.
Donghai City Monster Security Bureau. Security Bureau, 4th Monster Division.
A young man in a black uniform stood up from his seat, went to the coat rack, put on his tricorn hat, and said calmly to the 10 girls in the classroom, the mission has arrived.
Strike.
10 young women in pure white uniforms saluted the young man and shouted, yes, Section Chief's son. The underground parking lot of Meluo City has 3 levels. The guests from Meluo City, along with Qin Tian and the 3 women, Mingmei, are all taking refuge here, waiting for the Donghai City Security Bureau to eliminate the Demon Queen. At this moment, only the masters of the Security Bureau would step in. When they joined the Security Bureau, they swore an oath to fight monsters even if it meant their deaths, and to fight for the peace of humanity.
In the East Sea City Security Bureau, the masters who serve as section chiefs are basically all Tier 3S rank. Only masters with real strength can hold such positions. In this world, there are 2 main types of masters who are the ideal goals in the hearts of the vast majority of servants. That is the master of the Security Department and the Crisis Department. One protects the safety of the city's citizens, while the other fights the most dangerous monsters on the front lines. In particular, the masters of the Crisis Department have gathered almost all of the most powerful masters in the country. The Death Army is merely a branch of the Crisis Department. Mai frowned and crossed her arms. What bad luck today, running into the Demon Queen. Aki tugged at Mai's sleeve. Don't say anything, Akemi will be sad.
Mai turned her head and saw Akemi hugging her knees, sobbing softly, I'm sorry, it's all my fault that everyone went out and encountered the Demon Queen. Mai quickly comforted her, I didn't say it was your fault. The appearance of the Demon Queen wasn't caused by you. Even if we're at school, we still need to take refuge. Qin Tian stood aside, deep in thought. He is currently a Tier 3 SSS level healer. If he were to face that Demon Queen, would he be able to kill her with an absolute advantage? He glanced at Mai and Aki beside him. If he could form a contract with them and obtain 2 SSS level talents through a 100-fold return,
Wouldn't that be enough to kill a fourth-tier monster queen? Qin Tian swallowed hard. Why did he feel a sense of guilt about doing something to his wife's best friend? This is not against the rules in this world. But when he saw two stunningly beautiful women with such different styles, he couldn't suppress his possessiveness. It would be terrible to give such a good servant to another master. Aki has already extended an invitation to me, and a contract with Aki is just around the corner, but Mai is a bit more troublesome. Just then, the ceiling of the parking lot was shattered, and the loud noise startled everyone into a panic. Monsters! The monster queen has arrived. A woman's scream echoed throughout the entire shelter. Ah! Run! Ah! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Ah! Damn it! I'll fight you to the death. Nini, Tian, get them. A master faces death and rebels. However, a few seconds later, the master let out a scream. A bunch of useless bastards. Don't come any closer. Ah! Qin Tian frowned. This demon queen was a bit scary. He could already sense the terrifying demonic energy, which, like a giant beast, filled the entire parking lot. Mingmei stood in front of Qin Tian, facing the direction from which the demon queen had come, and shouted to Qin Tian, "Lord Qin Tian, please leave here immediately. I'll stop that demon queen." Qin Tian grabbed Mingmei's shoulders. "What are you going to use to stop her? Do you still think you're a third-tier cultivator?" Mai and Aki were stunned, looking at Qin Tian and Akemi. "What do you mean? Wasn't Akemi cured?" Qin Tian said coldly, "This idiot used her newly awakened ability to give me the energy of the third tier. She is now at the first tier." What? Aki's eyes widened, her face filled with disbelief. Mai gritted her teeth and shoved Akemi into Qin Tian's arms, blocking their way. "Let's not discuss how she did it. You guys run first, Aki and I will hold her off." Mai's lips curled up slightly, and lightning surged in her palm. "After all, I am a Tier 3 A rank attendant. I can hold her off for a while." Aki stood in front of them with a serious expression, a gust of wind surging around her. "I am also a Tier 3 A rank attendant, you should leave now." Leave? The demon queen's shrill laughter rang out. "Ha ha ha, anyone can leave, except that master. They said they could run away, but..." Splash! The fleeing people turned back in surprise and doubt to see the monster queen wielding a giant scythe approaching with her bloodstained black rabbit. Countless black chains with scythes were released in all directions, turning the entire parking lot into a living hell. Countless girls were killed, and even some masters were pierced by scythes, lifted high, their blood flowing along the chains to the demon queen, strengthening her power. The chain scythes that attacked Qin Tian were knocked away by Mai and Aki. Although they were knocked away, it was clear that they were struggling. The difference between Grade A and Grade S is quite significant. No, Qin Tian felt that the monster queen in front of him might not be an S rank. She seemed to be watching him intently as she approached, without hesitation. Monster queens are naturally sensitive to magic. Powerful magic will attract them to hunt them down. Could it be that she smelled her own SSS level magic? That's why they couldn't resist coming to hunt me down, even if it meant exposing their identities? Damn it! He thought he had hidden his SSS level talent and wouldn't be exposed, but it turned out that he wouldn't be discovered by humans, but by the demon queen. In the blink of an eye, they were the only ones left in the entire underground parking lot. The demon queen gazed at Qin Tian, raised her blood-stained hand, licked the blood off it, and said with a look of pleasure, "Ah, SSS level magic power. Such tempting SSS level magic power. I want to eat everything about you." SSS level? Mai and Aki suddenly looked at Qin Tian, who had a serious expression. This F rank was actually a dual-talented individual? In the entire Xinhua kingdom, with a population of 1.5 billion, there are over 10 million masters, but only a little over 100 masters possess SSS level talent. This Qin Tian is actually an SSS level. This monster queen would never joke like that. That makes sense now. Why did she hide it so well and then suddenly go berserk? It turns out it was because an SSS rank master with magical power had appeared. Qin Tian chuckled, "Since I've already been discovered, I won't hide anymore. You know I'm SSS level, aren't you afraid I'll kill you?" The demon queen chuckled, "I'm scared to death, but even knowing I might die, my reason can't suppress my instinct to devour you like a moth to a flame." Just as Qin Tian was about to make a move, Mingmei shouted, "Lord Qin Tian. Please don't make a move. What are you doing?" Qin Tian snapped. "Hand her over to me, that's an order. I know everything."
Mingmei shouted, Lord Qin Tian, your SSS level ability is actually healing, which is completely unsuitable for combat. You'll die if you fight her.
Qin Tian was stunned.
It seemed that Mingmei's healing was not as comprehensive as his own. He didn't know that in addition to optimization, there were also derivative abilities such as deterioration and imitation. However, because Qin Tian hadn't watched Healing Hero for so long, he had forgotten that the optimization skill could change appearance and memory.
So it's healing. My S expression was serious. Then we definitely can't let you go. Leave this monster queen to us.
You can heal us after we defeat her.
Aki smiled slightly, Lord Qin Tian, since you are actually SSS rank, there's no need for me to test you.
If I survive, I hope Lord Qin Tian will accept me as your servant. Seeing the three women blocking his way, Qin Tian smiled bitterly. It's too shameful for a grown man like him to stand behind a woman. However, looking at their determined eyes, I decided not to shatter their pride as servants. Although I can't fight myself, I can still help them fight. It's a good opportunity to see how strong these future attendants are in combat, so I can use optimization to improve them in the future. He studied the derivative skills of healing and, in light of the current situation, made new discoveries. He said to the three of them, relax, it might hurt a little, but this is the only way you can beat her.
Akemi said firmly, whatever it is, come on. Aki smiled calmly, right now, we can only trust you. Mai frowned and said, hurry. She's coming.
Qin Tian took a deep breath, raised his hands, his eyes turned blood red, and released his magic power to the maximum extent.
Healing Mastery. Chapter 12 Absolute Healing.
The Demon Queen's terrifying power.
Inside the hellish parking lot,
Qin Tian gritted his teeth and released all his magic power. The immense magical power transformed into countless serpents of karmic fire, spreading in all directions before coiling around the bodies of Akemi and the other two.
Ah! Akemi gasped and opened her eyes wide. A tremendous amount of magical power entered his body. I feel so awful. How brutal.
The fierce magic, like dynamite, surged through the narrow blood vessels, stretching open the elastic vessel walls, as if to destroy the body. However, after the magic entered the body, it was painful at first, but what followed was a crazy feeling of increased power. As she adapted to the introduction of magic, she no longer felt pain, but rather a wonderful sensation. Such powerful magic flowed through her blood vessels, her internal organs, and even her bones. It felt so incredibly comfortable. As the magic entered Aki's body, she closed her eyes and, like the wind, tried to guide the flow of the magic. Feeling the powerful magic flowing through her body, making her stronger, she felt every cell in her body throbbing with joy. Mai tightly closed her pink lips, trying not to make a sound. Healing, the servant's body subconsciously judges it to be harmless. Not to mention, this magic can make people stronger, making it hard to refuse. The magic travels along the spine all the way to the brain.
Qin Tian's voice echoed in their minds. This is a new feature I developed, control.
By continuously infusing you with magic, I can enable your bodies to regenerate at supersonic speeds, making your skin as hard as iron and greatly enhancing your physical abilities. Akemi, you can now temporarily unleash the power of a third-tier being.
Mingmei blushed and nodded slightly.
Aki felt the same way, but she accepted it all without resistance.
Mai felt extremely ashamed.
She knew it was wrong, but she couldn't refuse and felt she could never make a contract with anyone else again.
You can only form a contract with Qin Tian.
Because of this feeling of becoming stronger, the breaking down of her mental walls, and the ability to unconditionally trust the other person, she developed a slight dependence on them.
She's here. Qin Tian's voice brought the three women back to their senses. Mingmei was the first to charge forward as Qin Tian's attendant. She couldn't fall behind the others.
Possessing the talent of an A-rank knight, she used the magic given to her by Qin Tian to condense a sort of light, and her body was covered with a layer of silver armor, beneath which was a blue skirt. She gripped her sword with both hands and charged towards the Demon Queen, shouting, I will never let you get near Lord Qin Tian. The Witch Queen smiled contemptuously, brandished her scythe at Akemi, and said calmly to the blood-stained black rabbit behind her, kill her. The enormous black rabbit, which stood 5 meters tall, looked heavy, but its movements were actually quite clumsy. It raised its enormous claws and slammed them down at Akemi, who easily dodged them. The claws sank the ground by half a meter, demonstrating terrifying power.
If Akemi were to take a direct hit, she'd probably turn into Akemi-chan.
Enraged, the Demon Queen kicked the black rabbit.
Idiot! You forgot to switch modes. Let's try again. The black rabbit nodded blankly, its black body adorned with red markings.
Then, it instantly appeared in front of Akemi, its sharp claws already poised to strike her.
Akemi immediately raised her hand to block.
However, the force from the claws was terrifying, instantly sending Mingmei flying. She crashed into the ceiling of the parking lot, embedded herself in the recessed wall, and coughed up blood. This attack wasn't as terrifying as the previous one, but it was extremely fast. Just as Akemi felt the pain, a powerful surge of magic flowed into her body, permeating her limbs and bones. She gripped the long sword tightly in her hand and couldn't help but cry out in surprise.
Ah! You gave me too much magic.
Her wounds healed instantly. The damage the rabbit had inflicted on her was completely wiped out.
Are you alright now, Akemi?
Qin Tian's voice echoed in her mind, and Mingmei blushed and shook her head. It's okay, don't stop the healing.
This monster queen is very strong. If my healing ability can't keep up, I might die.
I will, Qin Tian said.
And don't forget, you can also use heal. By the way, let me tell you another use for heal, which is deterioration. Through the mental link, Mingmei listened to Qin Tian's description of deterioration, and her face was full of excitement. Lord Qin Tian is simply a genius. He even came up with this method. Mingmei must repay Lord Qin Tian's teachings properly.
Oh, right, Lord Qin Tian doesn't like me wearing white dresses, so I won't wear them anymore. I just passed a clothing store called Memories of Love, and Lord Qin Tian seemed to really like the clothes there.
I'll go buy a few.
As she spoke, she picked up her sword again and charged at the rabbit.
Memories of Love? Qin Tian swallowed hard. Wasn't that the store that sold full-body fishnet stockings, body chains, sailor uniforms, nurse uniforms, red rope shirts, and other similar items?
On the other side, Mai and Aki circled around to either side of the monster queen. Mai, wielding the lightning sword, charged at close range. Aki raised her arm, condensing wind into a long spear, and struck at the demon queen.
Mai's lightning sword was blocked by the scythe.
The opponent tried to push her away, but failed. After their physical abilities were greatly enhanced by Qin Tian's magic, they became much more capable of dealing with such a demon queen. The demon queen snorted coldly, raised her free left hand, grabbed the wind spear that Aki had fired, and then crushed it. Even if you've been greatly enhanced by that SSS level power, your original strength is still limited to this.
Get out of my way. Mai said, don't even think about it.
Mai's sword pressed down firmly on the demon queen, but the demon queen suddenly retreated, almost causing Mai to lose her balance. She let the sword fall, then grabbed the blade with one hand, raised her long black stockinged leg, and kicked Mai's most vulnerable spot with the thick heel of her loafers.
Boom!
Mai crashed into a load-bearing pillar in the parking lot, twisting the extremely hard wall and the steel bars inside. She spat out a mouthful of blood, looked down, and saw one of her thighs. Her eyes widened in shock.
That bastard! Just then, Qin Tian's voice rang out. Don't worry, I'll heal you right away.
Mai anticipated what Qin Tian was about to do, her eyes widening slightly as she tried to tell him to be quiet. As a result, the surging magic power, imbued with healing abilities, filled his entire body, even the deepest corners of his body. She clenched her teeth tightly, but in the end she couldn't help herself and arched her body, her whole body filling up like a balloon. Looking down again, her thighs were no longer visible. All she could see were her long, slender calves with her black stockings torn. She stood up again, took a deep breath to calm the emptiness that quickly subsided after being filled with magic, and looked at the demon queen with her pupils constricted.
Chapter 13 The Stubborn Akemi. Instantly defeating the queen.
The demon queen stepped on her rabbit and hurled insults at it. Because of this rabbit, he actually suffered a crushing defeat in his battle against Akemi. The rabbit's bones, muscles, and spine were all necrotic. Mai looked at Akemi, who was holding the sword of light, covered in sweat, and breathing heavily.
When did Mingmei grow up to this extent?
Or perhaps, all of this was given to him by that man, that master named Qin Tian.
What a piece of trash!
The demon queen stomped on the rabbit's eye, cracking it open, and even crushed it with her paw.
Fine, you've eaten enough. Let me eat you to complete my final evolution, and then I'll eat that SSS rank to reach an even higher level.
The demon queen severed the rabbit's head, and dark demonic blood rained down, bathing her in its warmth. The blood touched her body, seeped into her skin, and amplified her aura.
Qin Tian frowned slightly. You may all step back. I will kill her. No. Mingmei disobeyed Qin Tian's order again. She's getting more and more dangerous. If something happens to you, what will I do if something happens to you? I finally found such an excellent master. I don't want to lose you, I want to protect you. Akemi's trembling voice rang out in the hellish parking lot. He heard Akemi's resolute determination. Mai and Aki were also moved by Akemi's strong voice. We've only known each other for 2 days, you don't need to go to this lengths for me, Jin Tian said. No.
Mingmei gritted her teeth, raising her strong eyes and staring intently at the demon queen bathed in blood rain.
For me, you are the salvation I have been waiting for 20 years. I will use this body to offer up my master, whom I will protect with everything. Believe me.
She raised her long sword and charged at the demon queen, who was bathed in blood. The monster queen, now covered in blood, grinned maliciously, spun her scythe to block the sword of light, moved close to Akemi, grabbed Akemi's head, and slammed it to the ground.
Boom! The terrifying force shattered the ground, creating shocking radial cracks. Deterioration.
As Akemi's voice rang out, the demon queen's pupils constricted, her arm instantly broke, and she lost control of Akemi, watching as Akemi sliced open her chest with a sword, blood spraying onto Akemi's body and face. That broken face, now tinged with the darkness of hell, looked like an angel fallen from heaven to hell.
Suddenly, the demon queen grinned maliciously. I know. You became so strong because of that SSS level magic, didn't you?
Akemi stared wide-eyed as the demon queen used the hand beneath her to swing her scythe and slash down behind Akemi.
Jin Tian and Mingmei's magical link has been broken.
Akemi, whose body had not yet recovered, watched the scythe fall again, her face expressionless, as if that was enough. Just when she thought she was going to die, a figure blocked her way.
Jin Tian. Lord.
Jin Tian raised his arm, letting the sickle pierce his left arm without changing his expression, and said in a deep voice,
I will no longer tolerate your willfulness.
He reached out his right hand and touched the monster queen's chest.
Deterioration.
The demon queen's pupils constricted, and her whole body went limp on the ground. She felt as if all the calcium had been lost from her bones at that moment. Then she saw the man touch her again.
Plunder. The demon queen's power was quickly taken away by Jin Tian at that moment.
She was weakening at a visible rate, her skin turning from fair and radiant to dry and brittle.
The demon queen gave a self-deprecating laugh at the end of her life.
She thought the gap between herself and this SSS level wasn't too big, but now that she thinks about it, she was so naive.
This SSS rank master was even more terrifying than she had imagined. If she were given another chance, she would come back. I can't even imagine how strong she would become if she could devour a master like that. She was just unlucky, but this master's luck wasn't good either. In her final moments, she used her last strength to send a signal to queens around the world. In the Xinhua Kingdom, in Donghai City, there is an SSS level being that is still growing. An SSS class being powerful enough to kill himself instantly.
In the final moments before her face collapsed, the demon queen grinned.
Ah, my darling. I hope we meet in hell. The way you protected this girl was so cool. We might actually become a great couple. Call. The once invincible demon queen has disappeared.
Only the 4 of them remained. Jin Tian pulled the sickle from his arm, and the wound healed instantly. He turned and picked up Mingmei from the ground, saying fiercely to her, Tonight, I'll punish you properly. I'll crush you, and screaming won't do you any good. Akemi looked at her master who had stood up for her, smiled, leaned against him, and nodded, Mai and Aki were speechless for a long time.
Is Jin Tian really that strong?
The 3rd tier S-class monster queen was killed instantly. They were working so hard just now, like clowns. They thought the healing effect was just a support function, but they didn't expect it to be so terrifying in battle. Aki was the first to react, rushing forward and hugging Jin Tian's waist. Lord Jin Tian. I said before that if I survive, I want to be your servant.
Is that all right?
Jin Tian glanced at Aki's excited eyes, which were filled with admiration and longing.
Reject? How could that be?
This is a top-tier servant with a visual score of over 90, as recognized by the system. However, he still kindly reminded me, being with me will be very difficult.
Are you sure you want to become my servant? Will it be very bitter?
Aki tilted her head, looking puzzled. Jin Tian glanced at Mingmei, who was burying her head in embarrassment in his arms. It means that when you make a mistake, I will punish you severely, like Mingmei.
Even if you scream your lungs out, I won't show any mercy.
Aki swallowed hard, her body trembling slightly, but she still said firmly, No problem.
Very good.
Jin Tian's lips curled up. Bring your luggage to my house tomorrow, and we'll go to the Master Servant Association to sign a contract together.
Good. Aki happily hugged Qin Tian, rubbing her face against his back.
Mai looked at her younger sister, who had taken the initiative, and was at a loss for words. She actually wanted to say that she wanted to be Qin Tian's servant, but her pride kept her quiet. It would be too beneath her dignity.
But Qin Tian just said he wanted to punish Mingmei, but is that really punishment? It's clearly a reward. To encounter such a wonderful master is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Just as she was struggling with her decision, a group of people attacked. Where is the demon queen?
Qin Tian and the others looked over and discovered that the other party was none other than the master and his attendants from the security bureau.
Qin Tian checked the time. The battle was over in less than 5 minutes. They arrived very quickly, but unfortunately, Qin Tian was a freakish SSS-level monster who instantly killed the demon queen. The master of the group of attendants walked up to Qin Tian and frowned slightly. "Master, do you know where the demon queen has gone?" Qin Tian looked around and said calmly, "They're everywhere." What? The master felt a chill run down his spine and loudly gave orders to his attendants. Martial law. Prepare for battle.
The 10 servants were tense, constantly on guard against any possible attack.
Put.
Mingmei, nestled in Qin Tian's arms, smiled sweetly. "Lord Qin Tian, you're so naughty."
The master from the security bureau was stunned. Actually.
Just as Mingmei was about to say something, Qin Tian replied. "My servants and these 2 friends defeated the demon queen, and her fragments are everywhere." The members of the security bureau were speechless for a moment. Chapter 14 is titled The Legend of Love and Dating.
Qin Tian decided to keep his SSS-level talent a secret.
Because once this matter is revealed, the higher-ups in Xinhua Kingdom will definitely take it seriously, and then he won't be so free anymore. If he wanted Xinhua Kingdom to find him a school beauty level attendant with a look score of 90 or higher, they would definitely search the whole country, and those school beauty level girls would offer themselves to him without reservation. However, in that case, he would definitely have to do the troublesome things arranged by Xinhua Kingdom in order to repay Xinhua Kingdom for its help.
Moreover, all those women were after his SSS level talent.
Once they discovered that they could gain a second S-level talent by forming a contract with him, they would become even more frenzied. At that time, he will feel as if he is not a person, but a machine that produces powerful servants. If he decides not to do it, Xinhua Kingdom will absolutely not allow it, and may even forcibly control him, possibly using drugs, hypnosis, and so on. It's not that the master's status isn't high enough, or that being male isn't important enough. Rather, it's that sacrificing a man isn't unacceptable when faced with enormous benefits. To control your own destiny, you must be powerful enough to disregard the rules.
Anyone who tries to control him is his enemy. So, your servants, along with these 2 servants, teamed up to kill the Tier 3 S-rank monster queen?
Li Feng, the section chief of the security bureau, tried to confirm with Qin Tian again.
That's right. Qin Tian looked at Mingmei in his arms with a proud expression. "My servant is excellent.
She had a level talent before the contract, and after the contract, she received my magic power and awakened a second talent, which is S-level.
I am so lucky." He then looked at Mai and Aki, and them. They are both excellent rank servants. If it weren't for them, I might be dead. The attendants behind section chief Li Feng kept taking notes of Qin Tian's statement. Li Feng nodded and said, "I see. Thank you very much for killing this demon queen. I will apply to my superiors for a bonus and honor for you." "Thank you." Qin Tian nodded with a smile.
Li Feng took out his phone and briefly described the situation to his superior. "Now that the crisis is over, let's send someone to clean up this mess."
After completing the report, Li Feng said to Qin Tian, "You can go back now. We'll handle the rest." "Okay." Li Feng's attendant stepped forward and whispered to Li Feng, "Is what he said credible?" Li Feng shrugged, "Who cares if it's feasible or not? As long as I complete the task, why bother with so much? Why make things difficult for myself? I'd rather spend more time training my endurance with you tonight." When they came outside and looked at the ruins before them, Qin Tian's pupils trembled slightly. The entire city of Meiluo looked like it had been fished out of a pool of blood. How many people did that demon queen kill when she reached the 3rd underground parking lot? He clearly had the ability to instantly kill that demon queen, but he didn't do it to keep it a secret, which resulted in the deaths of so many people. It's impossible not to feel guilty. However, he did not regret it. If you always try to save everyone, you'll end up saving no one. In the end, the Virgin Mary is the culprit who kills everyone.
He only needs to do what he thinks is right. He will protect those he can, and he will never take action if there is no other way. Because of the Monster Queen's rampage, Akemi's BMW M2 was totaled, so they had to go back in Aki's Mercedes E300, while Mai rode a motorcycle alongside them. Back on campus, Jin Tian noticed that the students were in low spirits. Clearly, the disaster report about the Monster Queen had already been released. They saw on the school's propaganda screens that the casualties caused by the Monster Queen were extremely terrible. 3,272 people died, directly or indirectly, including 22 men. Of these people, 15 were from Master Restoration University. The entire school was immersed in an atmosphere of grief. After returning home, Aki and Mai asked to borrow Jin Tian's bathroom to take a shower and change their clothes. After all, they had just been through a major battle. Their clothes were torn, their bodies were covered in bloodstains, and they smelled terrible. Because Aki and Mai are sisters, they went into the bathroom together to save time. Jin Tian then made a phone call and asked Flash Delivery to send the clothes they requested. The bathroom was filled with smoke. Mai was taking a shower, and Aki was applying shower gel. With a creak, Mai turned off the hot water and came to Aki's side.
Go past the point.
Oh. The two people sat on plastic stools in the bathroom, applying shower gel. The atmosphere became somewhat quiet for a moment, until Mai finally spoke.
Are you really going to choose Jin Tian as your master?
Aki gently rubbed the bloodstains off her body, remained silent for a moment, and nodded, saying, "Yes, sister, although we've only known each other for less than a day, I can tell that he is not only exceptionally talented, but also treats his servants very well." Akemi disobeyed her master's orders, and the punishment she received was actually that. Ha ha ha.
Suddenly, Aki let out an unusual laugh. Sister, don't tickle me. Mai looked at her younger sister with a playful expression. Are you having romantic feelings? Do you really want to be punished? No.
Aki quickly retorted, but her blushing face betrayed her.
Still saying no. Mai hugged Aki from behind and tickled her. You little devil, do you think I don't know you? You were absolutely won over by Jin Tian's strength. I didn't. Aki continued to argue. Stop hiding it, your thoughts are written all over your face.
Mai rolled her eyes. Being attracted to this isn't anything shameful.
There aren't many masters who would stand up for their servants. Mai released Aki and continued applying shower gel.
Besides, he clearly wanted to hide his strength, but he was willing to expose himself for Akemi.
We are already very lucky that he didn't kill us to silence us. Aki asked in surprise, will he kill us to silence us? Mai chuckled, yes, I will. He'll kill you first, then kill you again, and then kill you again.
Aki trembled all over, hugging her delicate body, her voice shaking. Sister.
You're not joking. Ha 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 ha. Mai grabbed Aki's hair and ruffled it.
You're still such a coward.
I was just saying.
If he wanted to kill us, he would have done it long ago.
Why would he wait until now?
Aki breathed a sigh of relief and patted her chest. Thank goodness, thank goodness. Suddenly, Mai said quietly, maybe he really is a good master.
He's willing to do so much for Akemi. He must really like Akemi.
The way he looks at us is definitely affectionate, unlike other masters who look at us like we're products.
Aki whispered, could it be that making a contract with Lord Jin Tian allows you to fall in love? Mai was stunned. Fall in love?
For these servants, this was simply an unattainable dream.
The relationship between master and attendant is more like that of master and attendant.
In the servant's fantasies, love is a joyful date between the servant and the master.
But that was just wishful thinking. Which master would date or have a romantic relationship with their servant? It's all just an exchange of interests. If dating really exists in this world, it must be like Jin Tian and Mingmei's relationship. Chapter 15. He's different from other masters. The living room of the villa. Mingmei let down her guard and was held in Jin Tian's arms. Nestled in Jin Tian's tenderness, a pink glow appeared on her cheeks. Don't be so reckless in the future.
Jin Tian looked at the adorable girl in front of him and couldn't bear to scold her harshly, but he still had to say something. Mingmei looked up into Jin Tian's eyes, her gaze resolute. You are the light that brought me out of the darkness, and I want to protect you.
This is the belief that keeps me alive. Jin Tian pinched Mingmei's cheek. I'm glad you're willing to act for me, but even if you protect me against my will, do you think I'll be happy? Do you think I would be happy if I lost you? Akemi gently bit her lip, remaining silent. Next time, don't be so stubborn, okay? Akemi remained silent.
Qin Tian sighed helplessly, touched Mingmei's face, and said softly, "If you really want to protect her, then I will have to give you special education."
Special education? Mingmei stared intently at Qin Tian, swallowing hard.
Qin Tian's mouth went dry from reading, so he bent down to quench his thirst. After replenishing his fluids, he looked at Mingmei, whose face was flushed with embarrassment, and whispered in her ear, "Your attack power and mobility are very strong, but your defense and reaction speed are not strong enough. Starting tonight, I will use the healing optimization ability to train your defense and your reaction speed, making you stronger and more sensitive."
Mingmei's face turned as red as if it were about to bleed, but she simply nodded gently.
Looking at the shy Mingmei, Qin Tian felt pleased. Indeed, educating the school beauty is one of the most enjoyable things in life. He looked into the bathroom, where two school beauties were waiting. Once they became his servants, he would give them a good talking to. In today's battle, he saw many of their shortcomings and knew he had to use healing and optimization to address them. Mai and Aki, having finished showering and changed into new clothes, were drying their hair with towels when they saw Qin Tian and Akemi on the sofa. They were both stunned. Qin Tian sat on the sofa, stroking Mingmei, who was lying in his arms like a kitten.
Mingmei looked peaceful and happy. The sight was incredibly stimulating for the two single cats.
Aki covered her mouth, her whole body tense. She was already wondering if she would have to do the same thing if she made a contract with Qin Tian. Being able to lie in my master's arms, breathe in my master's scent, and snuggle in my master's embrace is just too blissful.
Mai frowned slightly.
She felt that she could no longer hesitate and had to make a decision as soon as possible.
Once this opportunity was missed, it would be gone forever. We'll head back now.
Aki bowed deeply to Qin Tian and quickly left the villa. Mai followed, glancing at Qin Tian and Mingmei as she left, as if trying to imprint the scene in her mind. She had never seen such a harmonious master-servant relationship before, and it was something she longed for.
Looking at the other masters,
as soon as they stepped outside, they saw the master of the neighboring villa kicking a servant.
"You useless piece of trash! You can't even handle this simple task. What use are you to me? Even a dog I pick up off the street is more useful than you."
The servant, bruised and battered with swollen face and disheveled hair, knelt on the ground, kowtowing repeatedly to his master, "Master, please give me another chance.
I'll definitely do better next time. No matter what the task is, I can complete it. You promised you wouldn't abandon me."
The master sneered, "I only said that because you had some ability and could help me make money and do things for me.
And now? Look at what you've done."
With tears streaming down his face, the servant clung to his master's leg, pleading, "Please.
Please. Give me another chance. I promise I'll do better this time." The master, however, grabbed the attendant by the hair and said coldly, "Fine. I'll give you one more chance. If you still can't complete it, I'll send you to the army of the dead. There are plenty of attendants who can take your place."
Faced with the abuse, the servant forced a smile. "All right.
All right. I will definitely complete the mission. I will not let master down."
The master snorted coldly, put the servant down, then kicked him in the stomach, cursing, "Useless thing.
Get inside right now. Take a bath and come serve me."
"Yes, yes, yes." The master noticed Mai and Aki looking at him, his eyes lit up, and he walked over with a smile, saying, "My two servants, do you have feelings for me?
We can go inside and chat.
If you become my servants, I will definitely train you well and not let you fall behind the other servants. After all, I am a master with a second-tier B-rank talent."
Mai said coldly, "Sorry, we're not interested in you."
Aki chuckled and gave a polite, slight bow, "Excuse me, we're leaving now." The master curled his lip, glanced at the villa Mai and the others had come from, and said disdainfully, "TCH. So she's another master's dog.
What a waste of my feelings. How annoying. I'll go back and beat her up to vent my anger."
Mai and Aki walked towards the parking lot, each lost in their own thoughts. Having witnessed how other masters treated their servants, the difference between Qin Tian and his servants was like night and day. Aki increasingly felt that making a contract with Qin Tian was the right thing to do. If she were to encounter a master like that, she would feel that her life would be so dark she couldn't see her own hand in front of her face.
Mai was still hesitant, not because she thought Qin Tian wasn't good enough, but because she was afraid. Was everything Qin Tian did just an act?
She knew that some masters would manipulate their servants' hearts. They would first treat you well, be dutiful and caring, and after a while, they would reveal their true nature, start to manipulate, belittle, insult and scold you. In order to regain the master's care and love, the servant will work twice as hard and constantly lower her bottom line. No matter what the master says or does, she will not resist and eventually become a completely heartless tool. All they know is fighting and pleasing their master. She wanted to remind her younger sister not to make hasty decisions, but to think things through carefully before acting. However, looking at Aki's expectant smiling face, she couldn't bear to shatter Aki's fantasy. Moreover, she knew that although Aki seemed easy to talk to, she was actually very determined to carry out her decisions once she made them, and that Aki would be angry if she spoke ill of Chin Tian like this.
That's what their friend was like back then.
All three of them tried to stop that person, but the girl said that the master was wonderful and very kind to her, and that they had misunderstood.
And then
I returned to her dorm and took out her spare phone. Upon opening it, I found it filled with information about masters I had interacted with, full of care and concern. However, having seen what that master looked like, she felt utterly disgusted by all this care and attention.
As for Chin Tian,
the image of Chin Tian standing up to confront the demon queen for Ming Mei's sake flashed through her mind again. He would rather be injured himself than let anything happen to Ming Mei.
Could other masters do that?
She shook her head and said loudly, "Go to sleep.
Leave tomorrow's problems to me tomorrow."
Mai, who had crawled under the covers, peeked out with her little head and suddenly wondered how Akemi had fared that night.
Could it be that? Is Chapter 16's training and real combat serious? You are powerless in a direct confrontation. I'm not familiar with the backside. The amplitude is too small. Not sensitive enough. Not a single movement is even remotely correct. At 1 o'clock in the morning, Chin Tian was instructing Ming Mei on combat techniques in the underground training ground of the villa. He used the energy he obtained from plundering the demon queen to optimize and give it to Akemi right after he was healed. Ming Mei has now recovered to the 3rd rank and is receiving training from Chin Tian.
He also plundered the demon queen's power and combat techniques, and is now using them to train Akemi.
Faced with Chin Tian's reprimand, Ming Mei blushed and lowered her head, not daring to meet Chin Tian's gaze.
Her fighting skills, which she was so proud of, were now worthless in Chin Tian's eyes.
Are you really an A-level talent? Chin Tian asked again.
I get the feeling that you rely solely on talent and stats in combat.
No wonder you had an accident during the mission before.
Akemi lowered her head, bit her lip, and said with a wronged expression, "I'm sorry."
Seeing Ming Mei's aggrieved look, Chin Tian stopped scolding her.
He had given her the stick, but he also had to give her some sweet treats.
However, you are very skillful in your movements and quick to detect the enemy's intentions.
When I fight you, I have to be fully focused, otherwise I will also be beaten into surrender.
Upon receiving Chin Tian's praise, Ming Mei's face showed a hint of joy and pride. But
Akemi, who had just begun to feel happy, tensed up again, her whole body stiffening.
Even if I go all out, you'll still cry out in pain and beg for mercy, afraid to attack. Didn't you say you would protect me? You keep dodging me, refusing to confront me head-on. How can you protect me?
Ming Mei gritted her teeth, raised her head, and said with a determined look in her eyes, "Lord Chin Tian, please teach me how to fight."
I want to do it again. Chin Tian nodded, "Great. Very loud. Very energetic. Let's do it again."
Chin Tian, holding his unsharpened longsword, faced Ming Mei and shouted, "Come on.
Attack me. Face me head-on." Akemi shouted, "Yes."
As she spoke, she raised her knight's longsword high above her head and slashed it down at Chin Tian.
Clang. Chin Tian, holding his sword in one hand, blocked Ming Mei's attack.
Where's your strength?
Where's your skill? Is this how you face me head-on? Was all the technique I just taught you wasted? When launching a frontal attack, we must have the determination to advance relentlessly and achieve victory in one strike. You must have the will to defeat your opponent. We should use a storm of attacks to make our opponents beg for mercy. Chin Tian smiled dismissively. In my opinion, your attacks are weak and feeble, too much of a waste of breath. Are you really fighting, or are you just playing house like a child? Akemi blushed with shame, her neck and ears burning, and then she shouted, "Yes." As she spoke, she continued her attack with unstoppable momentum. With the determination to defeat the enemy. Drink it. Clang. Chin Tian took a step back, stunned by Ming Mei's imposing presence, and his face lit up with joy. Very good. Very energetic. But the sound of launching the attack is still not loud enough. Shout louder. Shout it out loud, with a deafening roar. Yes. Mingmei shouted at the top of her lungs, "Drink it!" A powerful sword strike. Clang! 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 Qin Tian said again, "Very good. Very good. That's it, keep it up. Make your movements bigger, don't be timid, be fearless. You are a knight. Not a magician." "Yes." Mingmei roared and launched a frenzied attack on Qin Tian. With each attack, sweat would drip down her forehead and back. She gritted her teeth and used all her strength to repel Qin Tian time and time again. Qin Tian nodded in satisfaction, then instantly circled behind Mingmei and thrust out his 7-foot-long sword. Target the weakness behind Akemi. It hurts. Akemi screamed in agony as she was stabbed and collapsed to the ground. Qin Tian frowned and said, "What are you doing? Your frontal combat ability has improved, but why has your rear combat ability weakened? I just launched a sneak attack, and you can't handle it? On the battlefield, your opponent will look for the moment when you're least careful and attack you from behind. What will you do then?" Mingmei lay on the ground, filled with shame, trying to stand up, but her legs were too weak to move. That sword strike to her tailbone rendered her unable to fight. "Sorry." She clenched her fists, buried her head in her hair, and sobbed quietly. Just then, a warm, large hand landed on her lower back, releasing a warm, magical power. Healing her injuries. "Does it hurt a lot?" Qin Tian's gentle voice rang in Mingmei's ears. Mingmei was slightly taken aback, then gently shook her head. "It doesn't hurt. Lord Qin Tian did all this for my own good, and I will accept it all." While healing his training injuries, Qin Tian said, "I'm glad you think that way. It means my training wasn't in vain. You will definitely become the best knight." Mingmei nodded vigorously. "Yes." After Qin Tian healed Hao Mingmei's injuries, he patted her shoulder and smiled slightly. "Very good, training is over, now it's time for real combat. Don't forget what I just taught you, repeat it aloud." Mingmei shouted, "Attack head on. Be determined, strong, and full of momentum. We must not be careless against a sneak attack from the rear. We must concentrate and sense the enemy's movements. I am a knight. I cannot fight timidly, I must fight with bold and decisive moves. I must protect Lord Qin Tian, so I must always be on high alert and never let my guard down." Qin Tian nodded and drew his sharpened long sword. "Very good. Let's fight. This time, you absolutely must seize the future." Mingmei blushed, stared at the sharpened long sword, and shouted, "I will definitely not let Lord Qin Tian down." "All right. Remember what I just said, face me head on." "Yes." The next day, they opened their eyes in the underground training ground. Qin Tian patted Mingmei on the back and tugged at her training clothes, which were soaked with sweat from last night's training and practice. "Go take a shower quickly, Aki will be here soon." "Ugh. I stink." Mingmei quickly got up, her face flushed with embarrassment, and rushed upstairs to the bathroom. Qin Tian smiled as he looked at Mingmei's flustered appearance. The results of her training in combat are constantly taking root, and she will surely become a qualified knight, a qualified squire, and even a qualified wife. Qin Tian took a quick shower in the training grounds bathroom, changed into a white casual outfit, and came out. After settling everything, he returned to the living room to wait for Aki to arrive, and then they would go to the Master Servant Association together to complete the contract. Ding dong! The doorbell rang, and Qin Tian got up to open the door. He saw Aki standing at the door, wearing a white shirt and a light green skirt, smiling at him. "Good morning, Lord Qin Tian." She held up the food box in her hand and said, "Lord Qin Tian probably hasn't had breakfast yet. These are sandwiches I made myself. I hope you like them." Qin Tian nodded. "Come in." Aki placed the lunchbox on the dining table and asked curiously, "Where's Akemi?" Qin Tian laughed and said, "She trained and practiced all night last night. She's covered in sweat and smells terrible. She's taking a shower now." Aki's hand holding the sandwich trembled slightly. Is this training in combat serious? Chapter 17, Giving Her Love? What kind of move is that? Master Servant Association. Qin Tian reappeared with Aki and Akemi, surprising the official in charge of signing. "Young man, you just signed such a beautiful one yesterday, and you signed another one this beautiful today? So you only date the school beauties, right?" The official glanced at Aki and his eyes widened. Holy crap! Isn't that Kaze Aki, the famous third-tier attendant in our Donghai city?
I saw on the news last night that she was one of the attendants who killed the third-tier S-class monster queen of Meluo City.
Oh. Right. The first servant you signed was one of them. My god. Are you so lucky? The servant you took in before has actually awakened a second time?
Not only that, but I also managed to get my hands on Kaze no Aki in no time.
Little brother, could you teach me some techniques?
I've seen many S-rank masters want to form a contract with her, but she's rejected them all.
I didn't expect you to win her over so quickly.
By the way, there were 3 servants who killed the demon queen yesterday, and another one, my thunder.
When are you going to get your hands on her?
Qin Tian scratched his head, feeling a little embarrassed by the older brother's flattery.
I guess it's based on his character.
The official was taken aback at first, then laughed and said, interesting. It's rare to see a master with such good character as you.
Aki lowered her head and tugged at the hem of her clothes.
She hadn't expected to form a contract with a master so quickly, but she was really afraid of missing out on Qin Tian. With an SSS-level talent and being so good to Mingmei, she admits there's an element of gambling involved, but she's willing to go all in. Just as the official was about to sign the application, the door to the room was pushed open, and a group of angry masters stormed in.
I disagree with this contract.
The official who signed the document frowned slightly, somewhat displeased, and said, "This is the Master Servant Association, don't go too far."
3 masters barged into the office, accompanied by a group of servants.
The servants looked serious, their eyes filled with jealousy and resentment as they gazed at Aki. The master with the buzz cut who was leading the group said sincerely when he saw Aki, "Aki,
become my servant. I will definitely treat you well. I will always give you magic power to accelerate your training speed and make your title of Wind Aki resound throughout the entire Divine Kingdom. Aki is mine."
Another blonde-haired master pushed aside the buzzcut master. "In terms of talent, I am S rank, and you are only a rank.
Moreover, I have a Tier 3 A rank servant under my command.
I have almost trained her to Tier 4.
She should choose me." The last master, whose bangs covered half his face, said coldly, "What's the point of comparing talent?
I'm also an S rank, and I have 4 Tier 3 A rank attendants under my command."
"How many do you have?"
"When it comes to training A rank attendants, no one knows better than me." He stepped forward, extended his hand to Aki, and invited her, "Aki, become my servant. Only by coming to me can you unleash your full potential." Aki stood up, bowed slightly to the 3 masters, and said with an apologetic smile, "I'm sorry, thank you all for your kindness, but I already refused you last night, and my answer is still the same. I have decided to form a contract with Lord Qin Tian.
Please go back now."
The 3 masters all looked at Qin Tian, their eyes bloodshot. Last night, after seeing the news that Aki and the other 2 had teamed up to defeat the Demon Queen, they could no longer suppress their impulse and wanted to make a contract with Aki.
If he can exert such combat power without a master contract, wouldn't he be even more powerful if he had a contract with a master? They absolutely cannot let such an excellent servant slip through their fingers. That night, they went to Aki's dormitory and asked her for a contract, but Aki refused on the spot. They thought their sincerity was insufficient, so they went back to make preparations, determined to gain Aki's loyalty. As a result, in the morning they heard from the servant that Aki had gone out and then went to the Master Servant Association with a master. This time, they could no longer contain their anxiety and stormed the Master Servant Association to stop Aki's contract. However, as soon as they entered, they saw that the application was about to be signed, so they had no choice but to disregard the rules and barge into the office. Unexpectedly, the invitation was rejected again. It's all because of this master named Qin Tian. What's so good about this master?
The short-haired master looked at Qin Tian with a cautious gaze.
Excuse me, which school's master are you?
Seeing that the other party was quite polite, Qin Tian replied, "I come from Master Revival University." The 3, including the crew-cut master, seemed to be deep in thought.
Isn't that school just an ordinary master university?
I remember that the highest-ranking masters at that school only had a rank talent, and there were only 5 of them. None of them had the name Qin Tian.
Could it be that Qin Tian's talent is below a level? The short-haired master spoke again. "Qin Tian, right? Brother, I want to make a deal with you. Give me Aki, and I'll give you 10 million, how about it?" Qin Tian raised an eyebrow. Aki looked at Qin Tian with a worried expression.
This was no small sum of money.
Could it be that Lord Qin Tian was going to sell her? If that's the case, she won't make contracts with anyone. 10 million? This master is really generous, but I refuse. Aki looked delighted.
Akemi, standing beside her, held Aki's hand, gave her a reassuring look, and whispered, Lord Qin Tian isn't that kind of person.
It's only 10 million.
Give her some time, and she can earn it for Lord Qin Tian. Besides, Lord Qin Tian still has more than 3 million in cash that she gave him. The short-haired master paused for a moment, then gritted his teeth and held up 3 fingers.
3,000.
Before he could finish speaking, the blonde-haired man shoved him aside. Don't use your filthy money to tarnish Aki.
He said to Qin Tian, let's compare our resources. Who can give Aki a future?
I'll go first. I have an S-rank talent that can increase Aki's cultivation speed tenfold.
Qin Tian couldn't help but chuckle. He possessed an SSS level talent, capable of increasing his cultivation speed by 100-fold.
Of course, he didn't intend to reveal it yet, so he said,
I can make Aki happy. This sentence completely stunned the 3 masters.
Even the officials who were watching the show and signing the document were dumbfounded.
In this day and age, how could a master possibly want to give his servant happiness?
Aki blushed deeply, lowered her head, and gently bit her pink lips, feeling a warm glow in her heart.
Lord Qin Tian is indeed different from other masters.
The blonde-haired master shouted, I can give her the best resources. Qin Tian smiled slightly, patted Aki's head, and said softly, I will give her warmth, give her a sense of security, give her a safe haven, and give her love.
What kind of operation is this? Aren't servants just tools used to fend off monsters after a contract is formed? If a servant wants to become stronger, he must accept the master's contract and control to grow stronger quickly.
Masters need servants to protect them, ensuring their safety and comfort, so they can live a more carefree life.
A servant must give everything to receive a favor from his master.
Even without servants, the master can still live a comfortable life. However, without a master, the servants would be sent to the army of the dead and become cannon fodder.
As a master, why do you give your servants so-called love? Chapter 18, the so-called happy life, so this is what it is.
Even the official in charge of signing looked at Qin Tian with surprise. He had an expression on his face that made Qin Tian look like he'd gone mad.
In this day and age, who would give love to a servant?
Attendants are merely tools to elevate their social status, even for daughters from prestigious families.
If you're dead, you're dead. Just find someone else.
What this world has no shortage of is servants. On the contrary, masters are extremely scarce. The monster queens kill masters the most because consuming them greatly increases their growth rate. Consuming an F-rank cultivator increases their cultivation speed by 10%, consuming an S-rank cultivator doubles their cultivation speed, and consuming an SSS rank cultivator increases their cultivation speed tenfold. In contrast, the servants only ate the food to replenish their energy. The demon queen we encountered yesterday must have killed countless masters to grow to that level. Masters are extremely valuable resources, whether they are servants or monster queens. At the same time, the strongest person in this world is also the master. The omnipotence of magic, along with the innate ability to accelerate cultivation, allows masters, who make up only 1% of the population, to control 80% of the world's resources and 90% of its power and influence.
For them, servants were assets, tools. Ha 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 ha.
After a moment of stunned silence, the official suddenly burst into laughter.
He pointed at Qin Tian and said, You, master, are really something. You actually want to give your love to your servant?
You're willing to give up your dignity as a master for a beautiful woman.
Qin Tian shrugged, I just made the decision that I thought was right.
He took Aki's hand, and Aki trembled all over. He then placed her hand on his chest and whispered, I can't treat such a lovely girl like a tool. Aki blushed deeply, lowered her head, and dared not meet Qin Tian's gaze. At that moment, she felt that Qin Tian was the only one for her.
As expected, she made the right choice.
Akemi, standing nearby, was also happy for her sister. Being able to form a contract with such a master together was incredibly lucky. The 3 masters who wanted to compete for Aki's affections immediately flipped the table upon seeing this situation.
Fine. Fine. So this is how you play the game, bro.
The crew cut master pointed at Qin Tian's heart, utterly furious, purely a transaction of interests, you're playing the emotional card, who can beat you?
With that, the crew cut master waved his hand and left the office.
The blonde-haired master looked at Qin Tian and sneered repeatedly, clapping his hands and cheering, very good, very unique. Brother, you've really broadened my horizons.
She's only an A-level talent.
No matter how beautiful she is, she's just an excessive servant. If we're going to give her any love, it should be to an S-level servant. That's the kind of servant who deserves our love. You can enjoy your time with this rank attendant, bye-bye. After saying that, the blonde-haired master also left. The last master, whose face was only partially visible, gazed quietly at Qin Tian. You're quite something.
I've been pursuing an S-rank servant recently.
I only made a slight move, and she was already very interested.
I believe that forming a contract with her is only a matter of time.
I've received such a guarantee from her, yet you're making such a guarantee to an A-rank servant.
Your love is truly cheap.
He glanced at Aki with disdain, then left the office.
Now, there are only 4 people left in the office.
The official was twirling his pen, looking at Qin Tian with amusement. So, young brother Qin Tian, after hearing so many heartfelt words from the master, do you still want to form a contract with this Miss Aki?
Or do you think she's as lucky as this Miss Wang Mingmei, and can have a second awakening? After all, dual awakened servants are just as rare as S-rank servants.
Aki looked at Qin Tian with a mixture of anticipation and unease.
Had Qin Tian been persuaded?
Qin Tian smiled slightly and said to the official, I still want to form a contract with her. The official signed it without hesitation. I wish you and Miss Aki a happy life together.
Qin Tian nodded, thank you.
Aki, who had just come out of the Master Servant Association, looked at the curse mark on the back of her hand, clenched her fist, as if she had made up her mind. After completing the contract, Aki immediately called her older sister Mai and told her everything that had happened in the office. Mai listened to the entire process and was completely stunned. She couldn't believe that a master whose status was far higher than that of a servant would say things like giving Aki a happy life and love. None of her masters ever said they loved her. They all said they would give her good resources, help her improve her strength, give her the best weapons, and give her a stable life.
Right.
The best promise they can make to themselves is at most a stable life, not happiness. The so-called safety simply means not sending her to the army of the dead, nothing more.
Is it a happy life?
She lay in bed, looking at the scenery outside the window. 2 birds flew freely across the sky. She longed for that kind of life, free and unrestrained. For her, such a life as a servant was distant and unrealistic. Her future lies either in the army of the dead or bound to her master.
If Qin Tian is willing to make such a promise to her, will he give her enough freedom?
Mai buried her head in the blanket, unable to think. Back at Qin Tian's villa, Aki came in carrying her luggage and took one last look at the house.
I was here this morning, but now I have a completely different feeling. From now on, this is my home.
Oh.
That's right.
Suddenly, Aki jumped in front of Qin Tian, took out a box, and presented it to Qin Tian with both hands.
Here is my betrothal gift.
It's what I've saved up over the years, a total of 2.36 million yuan in cash, a Mercedes-Benz E300, and a 100 square meter house in a seaside community.
Qin Tian was slightly taken aback and looked at Mingmei. Mingmei said shyly, I told Aki to do it.
You said you would give us happiness, so you certainly won't treat us unfairly, right?
Qin Tian chuckled and patted Mingmei's hair. You really don't need to do this. To me, money is just an external thing, something I can earn anytime. But seeing you happy is priceless to me.
Aki hugged Qin Tian's arm, tears of joy streaming down her face.
I knew it.
I didn't choose the wrong master. You're worlds apart from those other masters.
Wah!
Lord Qin Tian, when you said you would give me a happy life, I was so moved I almost cried, but I knew that if I cried, I would embarrass you, so I held it in so hard. Seeing how moved Aki was, Qin Tian couldn't help but have a wicked thought.
He coughed lightly and said seriously, very good, now you are my servant.
Aki suddenly trembled, stopped crying, swallowed, and looked at Qin Tian. Qin Tian said to Mingmei, Mingmei, tell her that the rules for entering this place, as well as the key points I taught you last night, must be implemented in her mind.
Aki was slightly taken aback and asked in confusion, what key points? Akemi blushed instantly, it's that. She pulled Aki aside and whispered in Aki's ear.
Aki's already large eyes widened even more, and her face turned red.
My God! You guys trained and practiced like that last night.
So this is what a happy life means.
Chapter 19 Qin Tian's Allure. The Demon Queen makes a strange move. Qin Tian glared at Mingmei with annoyance.
What did you say to her?
Mingmei smiled and said, of course it was the training and combat practice that Lord Qin Tian gave me last night. Qin Tian's lips twitched. This Mingmei was getting bolder and bolder.
Aki bowed 90 degrees to Qin Tian and said loudly, Lord Qin Tian.
I'm very sorry. Although I also look forward to that kind of happy life, please don't go too far. She looked up, blinked, and whispered, I'm a little scared. Jin Tian coughed 3 times in succession. What's there to be afraid of? This is a basic skill that my servant must master. Aki gently bit her lip and nodded, okay. I'll try my best. Jin Tian looked at Aki's frightened yet determined expression and found it particularly beautiful, like a newly hatched chick standing on the edge of a cliff, about to undergo flight training. Before that, I will infuse you with magic to accelerate your cultivation. This process may be a little painful, so please bear with it. Aki swallowed hard, nodded slightly, and followed Jin Tian upstairs to his room. On the stairs, Akemi whispered to Aki, Lord Jin Tian's magic is very special. You might have a second awakening. My second awakening was S rank, healing. If you awaken, remember to repay Lord Jin Tian's gift with your own strength. Aki's eyes widened, and she whispered in surprise, your second awakening registered with the Master Servant Association was clearly rank A, how come it's now rank S? Mingmei glanced at Jin Tian secretly and whispered, that's because Lord Jin Tian wants to keep a low profile. I'm already a double awakened servant. If others find out that my second awakening is S rank, Lord Jin Tian will be in danger. Moreover, I received a call from home last night. They learned from the news that I had killed the Demon Queen, recovered my talents, and even awakened a second time. They said they wanted me to leave Lord Jin Tian and return to the Wang family. Aki was surprised again and asked in a low voice, then, are you going back? Mingmei snorted coldly, I won't go. They only treat me as a bargaining chip for exchanging benefits, they've never treated me like a human being. I'm doing very well with Jin Tian. He cares about me and loves me. It's just, he's a bit too powerful for me. She looked at Aki in front of her and chuckled, now that you're here, you can help me out. We're best friends, aren't we? Aki's lips twitched slightly, could you? Before Aki could finish speaking, Akemi grabbed her hand, don't even think about running away. Tonight's training and sparring will be a battle we face together against Lord Jin Tian. Jin Tian glanced at the two whispering, what are you two talking about? Come over here. Akemi pulled Aki forward quickly and smiled at Jin Tian, saying, Aki said she's really looking forward to tonight's special training. She said she definitely won't let Lord Jin Tian down. Aki's cheeks flushed red, and her ears burned, We'll talk about this tonight. Come in. Jin Tian opened the door and let Aki lie on the bed, while Akemi stood by with a sword to protect Jin Tian in case anyone disturbed him. Aki lay on the bed with her eyes closed, her mind replaying the same thoughts. It might hurt a little. How painful will it be? As the magic invaded her body, a sharp pain caused her to tense up, her eyes to widen, and her mouth to gape. It hurts. Blood-red magic power was released from Jin Tian's body and entered Aki's body. Nerves are trembling, bones are squeezing, blood vessels are surging. Attendant, Minamoto no Aki. Age, 20. Talent level, a rank Wind Lord, grants S rank Indra's Wrath, S rank Gale Breath, and S rank Invisible Army. Please select. Class, 3. Height, 165 centimeters. Weight, 45 kilograms. Measurements, 86-60-83. Appearance rating, 91. Favorability, 100. Jin Tian looked at the 3 talents and felt somewhat conflicted. Talent Wrath of Indra, capable of destroying the sky with the power of the wind. Talent Blowing Gale, those who possess this talent can bring devastating wind disasters with every breath they take. Talent The Invisible Army, those who possess this talent can control the shape of the wind, turning it into soldiers. With a wave of their hand, 1,000,000 invisible soldiers will descend. He glanced at Aki, who was floating in the air, gritting her teeth, closing her eyes, and contorting her face. He felt a pang of heartache and thought for a moment before speaking. Aki. Exist. I'll give you 3 choices. First, destroy the sky. Second, let windstorms follow you with every breath. Third, let 1,000,000 invisible legions descend with every move you make. Which one do you choose? Aki was slightly taken aback, but then she was overwhelmed by the endless pain. Hurry up and choose. Jin Tian urged. Aki's mind was consumed by pain, making it impossible for her to think. She could only answer instinctively. I will destroy the sky. Good. Choose Indra's Wrath. Ah! Aki let out a piercing scream. Whoosh! The next moment, a fierce wind swept through the entire city of Donghai.
Lead-colored clouds gathered in the sky above Donghai City in an instant, and the sky turned black in a flash. Then, with a thunderclap, thousands of tons of water fell from the sky toward Donghai City, as if the gates of the Milky Way had been opened.
Akemi looked at Aki with a worried expression, gripping her longsword tightly.
She turned her head to look out the window, where the rain was pattering against the glass, and the whole city was shrouded in white. There was a lot of shouting and cursing outside.
Damn it! Didn't the weather forecast say it would be sunny all day today? Oh no! How embarrassing! My clothes are all wet.
Hey, this lovely little girl, would you like to come to my villa to take shelter from the rain?
We can listen to the rain and enjoy tea together. Okay. Akemi didn't care about the people outside the window.
What she was concerned about was that the weather had changed drastically the moment Qin Tian let Aki make her choice, as if the sky had been destroyed.
Could it be that Lord Qin Tian's SSS level talent is not just healing, but can also allow his servants to awaken a second time? Such strange phenomena will occur as soon as you wake up. That's amazing. Mingmei looked at Qin Tian with eyes full of admiration and awe. No wonder Lord Qin Tian is unwilling to reveal his SSS level talent.
Once it is revealed, and people know that he can awaken servants a second time, servants from all over the world will rush to beg Lord Qin Tian to form a contract with him. Those S-rank, SS rank, and SSS rank masters would be so jealous of Lord Qin Tian that they would want to die. Suddenly, Akemi realized a big problem. Lord Qin Tian's talent is so strong, which means he is the food that the demon queens dream of. They will stop at nothing to come and take Qin Tian away, or even devour him.
No. Absolutely not. Such a good Lord Qin Tian must not be captured and killed by the demon queen.
She will strive to cultivate diligently and protect Lord Qin Tian. However, at this very moment, countless demon queens have already learned of this matter, and East Sea City is now a sacred place in their hearts.
Ah. I'm so hungry. I really want to eat that SSS rank master.
An SSS rank master who could instantly kill that rabbit is interesting.
I'll go check it out too. Attention all tribes. Break camp. Destination, East Sea City.
The masters of the crisis department panicked.
What's going on? What's going on? Why are all these monster queens moving? Can anyone tell me what happened? Chapter 20: The Flames Invading Donghai City. The strange phenomenon was not caused by Aki's second awakening, but by Qin Tian. SSS rank Indra's Wrath.
Even though Qin Tian is only at the 3rd rank, with this talent, he can easily defeat even 4th or 5th rank demon queens. The healing ability is very strong, almost like a bug, but its weakness is also obvious. To heal someone, you have to get close to them. However, Indra's Wrath is different. It is pure wind power. Even at a distance of thousands of meters, with just a thought from Qin Tian, the air around the opponent will become his claws and tear them apart. At the same time, this talent will become stronger the angrier Qin Tian gets. After completing the ability granting and magic infusion, he looked at his panel.
Host, Qin Tian. Age, 19. Class, 3. Talents, F rank Reconstruction, SSS rank Healing, SSS rank Indra's Wrath. Achievements.
The Light of a Desperate Girl achievement effect: when there are beautiful women around you who need help, they will think of you first. Save her, and you will gain all their loyalty and favor.
They will be willing to give you everything.
Harbor of Love for Maidens achievement effect: maidens who receive your kindness will experience a significant increase in their affection for you, and they will be willing to give their lives to repay your kindness. The second achievement appears to be one that was awarded by the system after the Master-Servant Association had a dispute with those masters.
The willingness to give Aki such affection to a servant is considered unusual in the entire Master-Servant Society.
Whenever Qin Tian makes a special move, the system seems to make a judgment and then grant him an achievement. When he killed the Demon Queen, he noticed the system's achievement assessment, but the result was not achieved. From the system's perspective, the feat of instantly killing a 3rd-tier monster queen is not considered a great achievement.
What if it's an instant kill of a 4th or 5th-tier opponent?
The rain outside the window was pouring down, seemingly unstoppable.
Qin Tian was taking care of Aki by the bedside.
Aki was covered in sweat, clearly in great pain from the second awakening and the injection of SSS-level magic power.
Akemi said she wanted to bathe Aki, and Qin Tian took over the task, telling her to go train. Mingmei gave Qin Tian a playful look, chuckled, and left the room.
Qin Tian took off Aki's soaked clothes, soaked a towel in hot water, wrung it out, and then gently wiped Aki's delicate skin as if he were wiping a priceless white jade statue. Looking at Aki's beautiful and charming face, and her alluring body, Jin Tian couldn't help but sigh. Such a beautiful girl would probably have become a national idol in her previous life, with millions of fans. If she went live, she could probably get a carnival reward just by smiling at the top fan. However, here, these girls are treated by their masters as mere tools, items that can be bought with money, and commodities that are not too difficult to obtain. On the contrary, they look down on Jin Tian, a master.
To give love to such a servant? It seems to be the biggest joke in the world.
He didn't care that they looked down on him. All he knew was that she was now his, and he had a responsibility to protect and cherish her. He would leave minor issues to the servants to avoid hurting their pride, but he would step in to handle major problems. The incident where the demon queen nearly killed Akemi must never happen again.
Wah!
Aki suddenly twisted her body, her eyes tightly closed, as if she were having a nightmare. Then she suddenly opened her eyes and saw Jin Tian wiping her body with a towel. Immediately, she curled up, covered her face with her hands, peeked at Jin Tian through the gaps between her fingers, and whispered,
"Master, what are you doing?" Jin Tian said, "Of course I'm wiping you down. You've sweated so much, people who don't know better would think I threw you into the pool and just pulled you out." Phew. A cool breeze blew by, making Aki feel chilly all over. She said shyly, "Oh dear. How embarrassing." Jin Tian smiled and said, "If you're embarrassed, just cover yourself with a blanket." "Why are you covering your face?" Aki then realized what was happening, turned around, and wrapped herself in the blanket, leaving only her head sticking out. "Master, I seem to remember you asking me 3 options, what were they?" Jin Tian thought for a moment, then organized his thoughts and said to Aki, "You should know that I actually have an SSS level talent, right?" "Mum." Aki's eyes lit up, and she said excitedly, "Master is so amazing. You're actually an SSS rank master." "I never dreamed that I could form a contract with an SSS rank master, it feels like a dream." The adoration in her eyes was like the yellow river overflowing its banks, unstoppable. Even Jin Tian felt shy under such a gaze. He turned his head away, but couldn't help glancing sideways at Aki's adorable expression. "My SSS level talent can optimize the talents of my servants. If you check your talents now, you should have 2 talents, both of which are wind attribute." Aki was stunned. Did she also awaken dual talents? Overwhelmed with excitement, Aki quickly closed her eyes to examine her origin. What she saw startled her. She jumped out of bed, clenching her fists excitedly, her whole body trembling. Wow! Truly dual talents. His second awakening talent is definitely S rank. S rank. S rank. That's amazing. She stood on the bed, looking down at Jin Tian with fanaticism in her eyes, then leaped up and pounced on him. The rain outside the window was getting heavier and heavier, and the whole world was pitch black. In a world filled with rain, a thick bolt of thunder suddenly appeared, splitting the darkness and rain, and striking the streets of Donghai City. Girls strolling on the street screamed as they saw the lightning instantly tear apart the body of a teddy bear with demonic blood. Blood covered the entire street, mixing with the rainwater and flowing into the sewers. All the streets of Donghai City were flooded, and rainwater poured down into the sewers as if trying to fill them up. Finally, the sewers could no longer hold their weight, and the rainwater overflowed completely, flooding the streets. On a rainy night, a figure dressed in red armor rode a warhorse on an overpass. The warhorse was 3 meters tall, clad in iron armor, with blood-red veins flowing through its black coat. It gripped the ground with its black hooves, tearing open the hard surface with each blow. It let out a fiery neigh, and sparks would fly from its body. The figure above appears much smaller, clearly a woman. Her heavy armor was soaked by the rain, which dripped down along the tangled patterns on it. She held a blood-red spear in her hand, and her face, covered by an iron mask, revealed blood-red pupils as she gazed at the entire city of Donghai. She held her blood-red spear high, and behind her, the wet road burst into flames. From the flames emerged fiery red figures, raising their arms and shouting loudly. "Burn! Burn!" The sun fell from the sky, and the world turned into a sea of fire. Chapter 21 100 Masters disappear. The amusement park promise. Good morning, senior. Early in the morning, a girl with fiery red hair appeared in front of the villa on time and shouted loudly at Jin Tian's house. Jin Tian woke up in bed, scratched his messy hair, went to the window, and looked at the red-haired girl at the front door. Alternative attendant, Ding Mamyo. Age, 18. Talent level, a rank heavenly tribulation fire. Class, 3. Height, 165 centimeters. Weight, 47. Measurements, 83 60 82. Appearance, 89. Favorability, 50. Note, if your appearance score is below 90, you do not meet the system requirements and cannot activate the ability granting in 100x return function. 2 weeks have passed since Shin Tian made a contract with Aki. During this time, Aki and Akemi's cultivation speed has been rapid, getting closer and closer to the 4th rank. Shin Tian is also about to advance to the 4th rank. An SSS level talent grants a 100-fold increase in cultivation speed. According to data, it would take an ordinary servant approximately 30 years to advance from the 3rd to the 4th rank. After accelerating by 100 times, it will only take about 3 months. The 4th rank, which others would strive for nearly 30 years to reach, can be shortened to 3 months because of an SSS rank master. This is why the appearance of an SSS rank master drives all the servants crazy. However, during this period, Shin Tian discovered that he had 2 SSS level talents, and the effect would be even better if the magic power of the 2 talents were combined. Because he is not yet proficient, his improvement speed is about 150 to 200 times. Even so, his magic power will be shortened from the already absurd 3 months to less than 2 months. If only one more talent. Shin Tian couldn't believe how fast he and his attendants were cultivating. Perhaps they will become the masters and attendants who advance the fastest. He looked at the girl with fiery red hair, lively and cheerful, radiating sunshine and optimism. This girl named Ding Miaomia was the most beautiful girl in the department of the neighboring university. After hearing that Shin Tian would give love to servants who were only a rank, she directly abandoned the S-rank master who had once pursued her and rejected the master who showed her affection. She ran to Shin Tian's villa, hoping that Shin Tian would form a contract with her. Unfortunately, her looks were just short of 90. He sighed softly and said, "Ding Miao Miao, I've already told you, I won't take you as a servant. Just give up on that idea." Undeterred, Ding Miao Miao clenched her fists and shouted, "I won't give up. I want to be loved. I want to live a happy life." At this moment, Mingmei brought breakfast into the room. As soon as she saw Shin Tian by the window, she knew that Ding Miao Miao had come again. She brought the glutinous rice balls to the window and said gently to Shin Tian, "Lord Shin Tian, breakfast is ready. Would you like me to feed you?" Shin Tian smiled and opened his mouth wide. "Ah." Mingmei shyly scooped up a glutinous rice ball with a spoon and gently put it into Shin Tian's mouth, causing Ding Miao Miao below to scream. "Ah. The way Mimi Senpai is feeding Shin Tian Darren is so sweet. I also want to feed Lord Shin Tian. This is the master's villa area." The master passing by looked at Shin Tian and Mingmei and said disdainfully, "Isn't it just being fed by servants? I never lift a finger when I eat at home. My servants always feed me with their mouths." Ding Miao Miao glanced at the master and said disdainfully, "You actually need a servant to feed you with their mouth? Are you a giant baby?" The master's eyes widened, and he pointed at Ding Miao Miao, angrily saying, "How dare you speak to the master like that? I'm going to sue you for defamation right now, and you'll be spending a few days in jail." Upon hearing that she was to be taken to the detention center, Ding Miao Miao screamed and ran away. As she left, she shouted to Shin Tian, "I'll be back." Shin Tian couldn't help but laugh at this amusing girl. Mingmei said softly, "Lord Shin Tian, why don't you take her as your servant? She seems quite outstanding, and so beautiful. Didn't you say you only like pretty girls?" Shin Tian pinched Mingmei's nose and laughed, "I do like pretty people, but I don't want to take in all pretty servants. If I took them all, wouldn't I be exhausted? Your bodies are very tired at night because we use healing and optimizing techniques." Mingmei chuckled softly and teased, "You say you're tired, but you're clearly enjoying it. You're really having a good time." Snap. Ah. Mingmei was so frightened that she almost dropped the bowl in her hand. "How dare you speak ill of your master? Be careful, I'll give you a good beating tonight and then bully you to death in actual combat." Mingmei giggled, ran to the door, and made a face at Shin Tian, "I'm not afraid. Go ahead and bully me until I can't get up. I can also heal." Shin Tian laughed, pointed at Mingmei by the door, and said fiercely, "Tonight I'll optimize your body's sensitivity 100-fold. Let's see if you can handle it." "Oh no!" Mingmei exclaimed in surprise, "Lord Shin Tian, please don't." He. When a girl says no, she means yes, I understand." Mingmei blushed deeply and stomped her foot, saying, "Lord Shin Tian, you're bullying me. I'm going to wash the dishes."
Not long after Akemi left, Aki entered the room, carrying a stack of documents and looking serious.
What happened to Akemi?
When she finished washing up, she said that Master was being very mean.
Aki asked.
Oh, I meant I just increased her nerve sensitivity by 100 times.
Aki trembled and whispered, Master, you're so mean. You only raised Akemi's rank. Shin Tian coughed a few times, then changed the subject. What are those documents of yours?
Aki immediately looked up, her expression serious, and said, This is a warning document from the Master Servant Association. In the past 2 weeks, 125 masters have gone missing in Tokai City, including 1S rank and 3A rank. The association suspects that a demon queen has come to Tokai City and is hunting down masters on a large scale. All masters must be careful.
Shin Tian frowned slightly. Is it that serious? More than 100 people have gone missing in just 2 weeks. Hasn't the association conducted a general survey?
Aki's face was grim, and she sighed. The association conducted a general search, but couldn't find her. So, they could only send a message telling masters to be careful. They've sent a 4th-tier master to investigate. I believe that professional master will be able to find the demon queen.
Shin Tian nodded.
A demon queen who can kill more than 100 masters in 2 weeks is definitely not simple. However, with his current strength, as long as she is not at the 6th rank, he should still be able to deal with her.
Besides, encountering a 6th-tier monster queen isn't that easy. Shin Tian had no intention of hiding his head. Thinking of something, he said to Aki, Aki, do you remember?
Remember what?
Aki asked, looking puzzled. Didn't you say you'd take me to the fairy tale amusement park? Now that you're my servant, I haven't even taken you. Why not take advantage of this opportunity? Let's all go together today, how about it?
Aki stood there stunned, the documents in her hand falling to the ground with a clatter.
Shin Tian frowned slightly. Aki?
Aki was startled awake, tears streaming down her face. She hugged Shin Tian tightly and nodded in his arms. Okay.
Let's go to the fairy tale amusement park together. Wah! I'm so happy.
Chapter 22 A perfect dating spot.
A fairy tale amusement park. In front of the entrance to the fairy tale amusement park, Akemi and Aki each took one arm of Shin Tian's. Aki pointed to the giant Ferris wheel in the fairy tale amusement park and shouted loudly. Look! It's one of the 3 legendary dating spots, the Ferris wheel.
Akemi watched the slowly rotating object, her eyes sparkling. She had heard that if you confessed your love to your master at the highest point of the Ferris wheel, you could be contracted by your master. Although she had already made a contract with Shin Tian, she still wanted to ride the Ferris wheel with him and overlook the whole world. But in this amusement park, there is an even taller and larger ride than the Ferris wheel, which resembles a giant snake coiled in front of you. At the ticket booth, the female ticket seller's tired face brightened when she saw Shin Tian.
Hello? Master.
Masters who bring their attendants to the fairy tale amusement park will receive a 50% discount.
Shin Tian smiled politely and said, Thank you. The female ticket seller blushed and nodded excitedly. It's all what I should do. Upon entering the fairy tale amusement park, one is immediately enveloped in a fairy tale atmosphere.
Fluffy humanoid dolls interact with customers, and there are girls dressed in exaggerated costumes running food trucks everywhere. Some girls even dress up as men and interact with female customers to satisfy their emptiness from not being able to connect with men. Of course, some masters also brought their attendants to play, as if the attendants had completed a remarkable task and received a special reward. Some masters are actually servants they've been pursuing, invited by others. They fantasize about having a unique experience with their master in a fairy tale amusement park, and then forming a contract with the master.
Normally, the main customers of such fairy tale amusement parks are female servants.
Aki, holding Shin Tian's hand, stared at him with wide eyes, looking hesitant, before finally saying,
Master, could we wait here for a while? Shin Tian was a little curious and asked Aki, what's wrong?
Aki scratched her rosy cheeks and whispered, I called my older sister Mai, but she doesn't seem to be here yet.
Shin Tian glanced at Aki in surprise. He could tell that Aki wanted him to have more contact with Mai, and preferably form a contract with Mai so that the 3 sisters would not be separated and could serve Shin Tian together. Good. Shin Tian certainly wouldn't refuse.
Mai is also a beauty with a score of over 90 in looks, and a servant recognized by the system. However, Mai seemed very wary and unwilling to sign a contract so quickly.
If Shin Tian took the initiative, Mai might be won over quickly, but Shin Tian didn't want to.
He just liked seeing my want a contract but was unwilling to admit it. Before tasting delicious food, you should first appreciate its beautiful presentation, then smell its aroma, then taste the saltiness with your tongue, and finally eat it with satisfaction, chewing slowly. They sat on a pink bench by the roadside, and Chin Tian looked at the two girls beside him with eyes full of affection. Today, Aki is wearing a dark green blazer, a black pleated skirt, and white knee-high socks that cover her beautifully curved calves. Her small feet, which can be easily held, are wearing a pair of black leather shoes. She leaned on Chin Tian's shoulder, her long hair flowing in the wind, gently brushing against Chin Tian's nose and bringing a faint fragrance. On the other side, Mingmei wore a light blue strapless dress, revealing her beautiful collarbone and lovely shoulders. She looked like a ray of light under the night sky. She held Chin Tian's hands tightly, as if she would be blown away if she didn't. With these two stunningly beautiful girls by his side, Chin Tian could enjoy himself even just sitting there. After enjoying it for a while, an unexpected voice rang out. "Senior brother. What are you doing here?" Chin Tian looked up and saw that the voice was coming from a pink rabbit doll, but he was absolutely certain that he hadn't misheard it. It was Ding Miao Miao, the one who had woken him up that morning. The other person took off the hood, revealing a cheerful and surprised face. Because she was wearing a mascot costume, she wasn't wearing makeup, and her face was covered in sweat. In the sunlight, the sweat reflected a golden light, as if giving the girl a divine aura. Chin Tian had to admit that she was truly beautiful, like an angel beside God, with fervent and sincere eyes, and always full of longing and anticipation for the future. "What are you doing here?" Chin Tian asked. Ding Miao Miao chuckled, put her hands on her hips, and said proudly, "Of course it's for working. I'm not a master, so I get a monthly stipend. When a mission comes up, I can have a servant complete it. I'm not a servant with a master, so I only need to carry out a mission once a month. We servants without masters are very tired. You should know this. We unmastered servants, if we don't find a master during our university studies, will end up as cannon fodder in the army of the dead. If you survive 3 years of service in the army of the dead, you can return to the city to continue searching for your master or find a stable job. If the country needs you, you must answer the call without hesitation and return to the army of the dead." Chin Tian nodded. "That's how the world is. Because there are too many servants, the country can't just leave such a powerful force unused. My master is precious and I cherish him. I will not mobilize him unless absolutely necessary." The servants were thrown into the most dangerous places. "You came back alive, which means you're very capable and lucky to be allowed to return to the city and enjoy peace." Ding Miao Miao continued, "In case I get injured on the battlefield and my life essence is destroyed, and I can't do the Master Servant Association's missions when I return to the city, I'll have to work. I'm accumulating work experience for the future, okay?" Looking at Ding Miao Miao's inspiring story, Aki was somewhat moved. "Ding Miao Miao, if you ever encounter any difficulties in the future, remember to tell me, and I will definitely help if I can." Mingmei also said, "Ding Miao Miao, keep pursuing my Chin Tian. I believe your sincerity will definitely move him." Ding Miao Miao's face flushed with excitement at receiving recognition from her senior. "Yes. I will definitely work hard to gain Lord Chin Tian's approval. To gain Lord Chin Tian's approval and to win Lord Chin Tian's love." Chin Tian gave a wry smile. It seemed he would be woken up every morning by Ding Miao Miao's confession. However, being woken up by such a cute girl is a kind of enjoyment in itself. Hearing Ding Miao Miao's energetic voice every morning makes him feel full of energy for the day. "What are you doing?" At that moment, a clear, cold voice rang out. Chin Tian turned his head and saw that it was Mai. She was wearing a purple, high-slit, one-shoulder asymmetrical dress that revealed her alluring collarbone and fair neck, with long, dark hair draped behind her. Those incredibly long legs were still wrapped in black stockings, glossy and silky smooth. At the end of the stockings were a pair of leather high heels with red soles. The already tall woman in the linen dress was now almost as tall as Chin Tian. Ding Miao Miao's eyes lit up when she saw Mai. "Wow, sister, you're so beautiful. Are you also Lord Chin Tian's attendant? I've never seen you before." Mai frowned slightly. "I'm not his servant, I'm just here to keep my sister company." Ding Miao Miao gave me a knowing smile and nodded slightly. Suddenly, something occurred to her, and her eyes lit up. "Is this your first time here? How about I be your tour guide?" Chin Tian asked. "Aren't you working?" Ding Miao Miao chuckled. "Serving our master guests is an important job at our amusement park. I just need to talk to the higher-ups, and they'll definitely agree." Ding Miao Miao made a phone call and quickly received permission. She immediately took off the mascot costume, handed it to her colleague, and returned to Chin Tian's side.
Let's go, Lord Chin Tian. Nobody knows this amusement park better than me.
I'll take you to experience the best amusement park rides.
First and foremost, our first stop must be the most famous attraction in our amusement park.
The most famous roller coaster in the entire Xinhua Kingdom. Wings of Icarus.
It's a roller coaster that leads to the sun. Chapter 23: The train flying towards the sun. The world is on fire.
Lord Chin Tian, this is your snow pearl ice cream.
It's the new oolong tea flavor. Do you like it?
Ding Miao Miao held various flavors of ice cream in her hand and handed it to Chin Tian first.
Chin Tian took the red ice cream from Ding Miao Miao and took a bite.
It tastes very good. He had to commend Ding Miao Miao, she was definitely a qualified tour guide. Ding Miao Miao smiled after receiving Chin Tian's praise, and then handed the rest of the ice cream to the other girls.
Sister! Aren't you going to show off? Aki nudged Mai with her elbow. That's an SSS rank master.
My training speed these past 2 weeks has been unbelievable.
I feel like I'll reach the 4th rank in just a few days. What should I do?
Mai asked, her face tense.
Aki was speechless.
She had been looking forward to the date and dressed up so beautifully, but when she arrived, she was like a wooden doll.
My sister is usually very bold, so why is she having trouble with this kind of situation?
A strong wind blew in from afar, accompanied by a deafening rumble, followed by screams that nearly pierced eardrums. Before their eyes, the pure white aluminum-plated steel rail resembled a giant snake twisting its body, rising steeply into the air to a height of 500 or 600 meters, passing through the clouds, and then suddenly turning back down. A roller coaster, accompanied by the screams of its passengers, ascended to its highest point, then slowed to its lowest speed, as if Icarus's wings were melting away. Ahead of them lay a precipitous drop, as if they were falling from the sky. The guests held their breath, afraid to cry out, watching the cliff slowly approach, like sinners before hell, awaiting judgment. That's Wings of Icarus, the fastest and tallest roller coaster in Xinhua Kingdom. The entire ride is made of the latest high-strength materials, standing 666 meters tall, with a top speed of 500 kilometers per hour. Ding Miao Miao pointed to the roller coaster and proudly introduced it. As the roller coaster entered the downward track, it felt like a freefall. Screams echoed throughout the amusement park once again, making the girl next to me cry loudly, as if the sky had fallen and the world was about to end.
Chin Tian raised an eyebrow.
Goodness, the amusement facilities in this world are even more exaggerated than I imagined.
Is it because of their talent that everyone's quality has improved so much that no one would come if it weren't so exciting? Lord Chin Tian, do you like it?
Ding Miao Miao stood in front of Chin Tian, the roller coaster crashing behind her, bringing up a fierce gust of wind that lifted her pink skirt, revealing the blue and white sky. When Ding Miao Miao realized she had been exposed, her face turned bright red. She quickly covered her skirt and looked at Chin Tian shyly, thinking to herself, this is so embarrassing. The wind not only blew up Ding Miao Miao's skirt, but also the skirts of Ming Mei, Aki, Mai, and all the girls in the area. A sky of vibrant colors, towering structures in black, white, and pink. So exciting! If the waves created by a roller coaster are so beautiful, what a spectacular sight it would be to ride one. I love it. It's so exciting. Chin Tian rubbed his hands together, eager to try it out. Ming Mei trembled all over. She covered her skirt with one hand and grabbed Chin Tian's clothes with the other, shaking her head desperately at him. No. I don't want to ride this roller coaster. It feels so scary. Seeing Ming Mei's frightened expression, Chin Tian put his arm around her waist and held her in his arms, saying, life is a constant series of challenges. How can you be afraid? Let's soar to the clouds together. Aki smiled broadly, thoroughly enjoying the fierce wind. She couldn't wait any longer. As for Mai, she held down her skirt tightly, her face flushed with embarrassment as she glared at Ding Miao Miao, as if to say, why did this bastard recommend this of all things? She instinctively wanted to take a step back, but she held back. Although the roller coaster looked scary, it would be a disgrace to show weakness in front of Chin Tian. Even so, her face still twitched slightly. Chin Tian turned his head and saw the expression on Mai's face, and for some reason felt a little joyful. Mai! Aki! Come on! Mai was slightly taken aback. When did the way she addressed him become so affectionate? Chin Tian had already grabbed Ming Mei and Ding Miao Miao and rushed towards the end of the long queue. Sister, I saw your face twitching, Aki whispered. I'm just a little surprised, Mai said with a straight face.
Really? If you're scared, just say it. It doesn't matter if you're embarrassed.
Sister, if you just honestly tell Master that your favorite amusement park ride is SpongeBob and his friends, we might be able to go to the water park.
Aki looked at her sister with a playful expression. Mai said with a straight face, my favorite ride is actually the roller coaster. Let's go. Hurry up. Hurry up. Qin Tian waved to them.
With the privilege of being a master, he could skip the queue and go straight up.
Coming. Coming. Aki responded with a smile, pulling Mai along as they walked away.
Qin Tian fastened the safety lock, glanced at Mai sitting behind him. Mai gripped the handrails on her shoulders, her face pale, staring straight ahead. To his right was Mingmei, who looked terrified. She was trembling all over and was begging Qin Tian to let her out of the car, saying that she would do anything tonight as long as he let her go this time. They sat in the first row, which was the most thrilling spot, where they would plummet to the ground when the roller coaster reached its highest point.
Qin Tian grabbed Mingmei's hand. What are you afraid of? I'm right here. The tunnel was pitch black, with red lights flashing along the 2 rows of tracks, and Akemi grew increasingly nervous. Staff checked each person's safety lock, confirmed each guest's physical strength, and put goggles on each guest, reminding them, please keep your head pressed firmly against the headrest to prevent excessive acceleration and neck strain. After completing the inspection, the staff entered the darkness. Dangerous alarms filled the entire tunnel, and red lights flashed rapidly. Qin Tian gripped Mingmei's hand, signaling her to relax. Suddenly, the red light went out, the alarm stopped, and the whole world fell into a moment of deathly silence, followed by a powerful surge of acceleration. Like a rocket igniting, the acceleration pressed everyone firmly against their chair backs. The air pressure was so strong that it stung the skin, as if we were flying in the sky. Qin Tian shouted excitedly, and Mingmei next to him also screamed, but it was a scream of fear. She grabbed Qin Tian's hand tightly and left a red mark on his hand, as if she would die the next moment if she did not. Behind her, Mai also shouted. Clearly, even though she had made ample preparations, she had still underestimated the speed of the roller coaster. Aki's laughter and Ding Miaomia's excited screams undoubtedly made things worse for Mai. The light rushed in, and the roller coaster left the acceleration track, reaching an astonishing speed of 500 kilometers per hour. Ahead lies a ladder-like ascent track, piercing the clouds, and at the end of the track is the sun. No wonder you need to wear goggles. You can't look directly at the sun under normal circumstances. As they passed through the clouds and came to their closest point to the sun, their view was reversed, and they began to look down, where a sea of fire came into view, as if the sun had fallen from the sky and set the world ablaze. Chapter 24 4th Tier Master. Is your servant S rank? Damn it! The Demon Queen has invaded. Mai, who was initially afraid of the roller coaster, roared loudly and unleashed lightning, destroying the handrails of the roller coaster and standing up from her seat. Aki! Use your talent to stop this car. If we fall into the fire like this, we'll all die. Yes, sister. Without hesitation, Aki raised her hand, and a fierce wind blew from the front, slowing the roller coaster's descent. The other passengers on board also used their skills to wed the entire roller coaster on the track, preventing it from falling into the sea of fire. Qin Tian looked down at the sea of fire, his brows furrowed. Countless firemen emerged from the flames, like soldiers, killing or being killed by the girl before them. Those masters weren't going to be idle either. They quickly organized their servants to fight off the monster's attack. The dozens of people on the bus stared at the sea of fire below, their eyes blazing with fury. Is the Demon Queen really that bold as to launch a blatant attack on the fairy tale amusement park? Despite her trembling legs, Mingmei gripped the longsword formed from condensed energy and stood in front of Qin Tian. She shouted, Lord Qin Tian, step back. I'll go and kill all the demons and take down the Demon Queen. Aki did the same, gathering a wind spear in her palm, leaping onto the track, pointing the spear forward, her eyes sharp. Lord Qin Tian, please connect with us using your magic, and I will bring you the head of the Demon Queen. Qin Tian nodded, released his magic power, built a bridge of magic, and injected it into their bodies. Akemi and Aki felt an immense magical power surge into their bodies, causing them to tremble with excitement and exhilaration. They felt an inexhaustible supply of energy, as if they could defeat any enemy. Most of these monsters are at the 2nd tier, with a few at the 3rd tier. Aki and Akemi can handle them, and even if another 3rd tier monster queen comes, they can still take her down. His training and practice during this period were not in vain. If a monster queen that they cannot defeat truly appears, he will naturally take action. Seeing the immense magical power flowing into Mingmei and Aki's bodies, Ding Miaomio excitedly exclaimed, What is that? What is that? It looks so powerful.
Mai looked at the two with envy and explained calmly, that's one of Lord Qin Tian's methods to enhance his servants, allowing them to maintain a high level of combat power for a long time. Upon hearing this, Ding Miao Miao screamed repeatedly, I want to become Lord Qin Tian's attendant more and more.
This time I must perform well and gain Lord Qin Tian's approval.
As she spoke, her fiery red hair flew wildly, flames erupted from her entire body, and an enormous flaming halberd appeared in her hand. She leaped onto the steel rails, let out a roar, and charged down the tracks. Like a fire dragon, she covered the hundreds of meters of track in just a dozen seconds, landing in the midst of the fire monsters. Her halberd swept across, unleashing a ring of flames. Even though the attributes were the same, Ding Miao Miao's flames were clearly stronger, instantly defeating several fire monsters.
The other passengers on the train were not idle either.
One by one, they rushed to the ground, like angels descending from the sky, facing a legion of demons from hell, fearless of death. Only Qin Tian and another master did not rush forward that quickly. The other master, with his spiky hair and wearing a red jacket, stood with his hands in his pockets and a serious expression. He said, the monster queen who attacked the amusement park this time is at least a fourth-tier monster.
Qin Tian turned to look at the master and nodded in agreement, you think so too?
To be able to cause such a large-scale fire in an instant, it is most likely a fourth-tier, domain-controlling demon queen. Of course, it is also possible that several third-tier fire-type demon queens joined forces. The master glanced at Qin Tian, what you said is not wrong, but the reason I can be sure it is fourth rank is because my phone has no signal. As he spoke, he took out his phone and dialed the security bureau's number, but it showed that the call could not be connected. Qin Tian rolled his eyes at his master, you don't follow the rules at all.
Everyone's belongings were checked in when we got on the bus. What if your phone caused an accident?
The master looked embarrassed, coughed lightly, and covered up, saying, I forgot, they didn't dare to search me, so they brought me here.
Forget it. Qin Tian waved his hand, since she is a fourth-tier monster queen, do you have a way to deal with her?
I am only third tier, and my servants are also third tier. The master chuckled confidently, then hopped from the back of the train to Qin Tian's side, putting his arm around Qin Tian's shoulder and saying, of course I have a way.
I'm a fourth-tier master. An S rank 1.
Qin Tian was slightly taken aback, looking at the man in front of him, could you be the one sent by the higher-ups to investigate the disappearance of the 100 masters?
The master laughed heartily, pointing to his own nose, that's right, it's me.
The master of Kyoto City, the most outstanding graduate of Jinghua University this year. An S rank, 4th tier master, with all his servants at the 4th tier.
First place in the National University Master Servant Competition.
The youngest section chief of the Monster Queen Section 19 of the Crisis Department.
I am Song Tianyang.
Song Tianyang rattled off a long list of titles, beaming with pride. It was clear that these titles made him very proud. However, he does have reason to be proud, as all his servants are at the 4th rank, which is an extremely difficult thing for any master university. Moreover, the opponent won first place in the National College Master Servant Competition, which is enough to show that he is not only a powerful servant, but also an extremely strong master himself. He patted Qin Tian on the shoulder, your 2 attendants are excellent, and you are quite capable as well.
However, leave this emergency to me. My attendants will take care of all the monsters. Qin Tian looked at the earth again. Song Tianyang brought 3 attendants, including a little purple-haired imp. Her petite figure looked like a lamb to the slaughter among the fire demons. Suddenly, she clenched her fists, and her little skirt burst open, revealing a black backless vest. Her muscles bulged, and the muscles on her back resembled the face of a demon. She shattered the fire monster with a single punch and kicked it through with a single kick, carving a bloody path through the enemy with sheer power. The other girl was a bespectacled, braided, and naturally naive girl. She raised her hand, and a fine steel longsword appeared in her palm. Then, more than a dozen longswords appeared behind her, like a peacock spreading its tail. With that naive expression, she slashed her way through, and no monster could withstand her. The last one was a girl with an amazing figure and a bit of baby fat, who pulled out a bunch of large caliber guns from who knows where. Day. Bang bang bang. They unleashed a barrage of fire at the monsters, the large caliber bullets piercing deep holes in their bodies, making their hunting efficiency astonishing. Seeing Qin Tian captivated by the charm of his servant, Song Tianyang grew increasingly smug. I admire you. I'm a legend. In the end, Qin Tian said indifferently, that's all there is to it. My servants are still more capable. Song Tianyang's eyes widened, what did you say? He looked at Qin Tian's attendants and questioned, "How many of your third-tier attendants could you possibly have?" He froze, then shouted, "Holy crap! Is your servant an S rank?" Chapter 25: The Mastermind. 3 4th-tier monster queens.
With Qin Tian's healing magic, Mingmei, undaunted by her injuries, wielded the sword of light and charged into the monster horde.
Deterioration. Slash.
Every monster under her sword is as fragile as a puppet, and can be killed with just a light stroke. Thanks to Qin Tian's training, she was fierce in frontal combat, each swing of her sword accompanied by a loud shout, and she could easily parry attacks from behind. Her large, sweeping movements allowed her to kill more than 2 monsters with each sword strike. She is also extremely sensitive. The slightest disturbance will make her tense up and launch a counterattack. On the other side, Aki also suddenly became like a meat grinder. She casually threw out a wind spear, which pulverized the monsters it hit, and the scattered wind would tear apart the surrounding monsters. The two of them killed far more monsters than Song Tianyang's 3 servants, and their speed was increasing.
This made Song Tianyang's attendants a little suspicious, considering he was only a 4th-rank attendant.
Ding Miao Miao defeated a monster, wiped the sweat from her forehead, and looked at the relaxed and composed Akemi and Aki over there, filled with envy.
Wow! Is this what it looks like to grow rapidly when nourished by love? Wah! I really want to be Lord Qin Tian's attendant too.
On the other side, Mai pierced the chest of the monster in front of her with lightning, looking at her younger sister with a worried expression. Her sister's calm and composed demeanor, as if she could kill the monster with a mere gesture, made Mai feel dazed. From childhood to adulthood, my younger sister has never been as good as me.
There is no doubt that I am superior to Aki.
Masters who pursue Aki are those who cannot pursue themselves and therefore choose her. Now, that younger sister, because she chose a master, has actually grown to this point, while she is still worried about being deceived and dares not get close to Qin Tian. During this time, her younger sister would call her every day to talk about what happened at Qin Tian's house. At first, she thought her sister was overly romanticizing Qin Tian. In retrospect, she was short-sighted. Today, my sister gave me a special chance, and I also felt that I should face Qin Tian properly and be honest. However, when we met, I couldn't say anything I wanted to say, let alone tell Qin Tian that I wanted to make a contract. Even. She made such an embarrassing scene while riding the roller coaster. Qin Tian must hate himself for it. I originally wanted to show how much I've grown over this period, but in front of my younger sister Aki, I realized that I was the ugly duckling. The number of monsters in the entire amusement park decreased rapidly thanks to the hunting efforts of all the attendants and masters. However, there was no joy on everyone's faces. Instead, their expressions grew increasingly solemn.
Where is the demon queen?
Yes, they killed so many monsters, but they were all just minions.
The monster queen still hasn't appeared.
Inside the suspended Ferris wheel gondola, a stunningly beautiful girl with fiery red hair, crimson eyes, and sparks emanating from her body is elegantly sipping a cup of boiling black tea, savoring it while gazing at the entire amusement park. When her gaze fell upon the train suspended in mid-air, the corners of her mouth turned up slightly.
An SSS rank master, not bad at all. You even have dual sources. If I devour you, how far can I grow?
Her face flushed, as if she had seen something she absolutely loved.
Now is not the time for me to make a move.
I'm not going to be like that idiot rabbit and confront him so soon.
This is human territory. Once I'm exposed, those old humans will find me immediately.
If I don't kill you quickly, I'll be the one who dies.
Let me test your strength first. Next time, when you're alone, our next meeting will be your death day. She has plenty of patience. Good things should be enjoyed slowly, not swallowed whole, or you'll choke.
She shifted her gaze and looked again at the girl with equally fiery red hair. Ding Miao Miao.
This girl is interesting.
She seems to have a good relationship with that master. If we start with her, it might make it much easier to take down that master. As for Qin Tian's 2 attendants, with her experience, she could naturally tell that their talents had reached S rank, which was obviously the work of that master.
Oh, right.
Soon, the Master's Servant Association will assign them missions.
At that time, they will leave that master. This period is a good time to make a move.
When the time comes, as long as I get rid of that S-rank master who is almost at the 5th rank and his attendant, this SSS rank master will be my meal.
Humph humph humph.
She took another sip of black tea, her eyes sharpening, and said softly, "Make your move, my flames."
Boom. 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 3 pillars of fire shot into the sky and appeared in the fairy tale amusement park.
A powerful surge of demonic energy erupted from the pillar of fire, causing all the attendants and masters in the amusement park to tremble.
Song Tianyang gritted his teeth. Damn it. I was careless. There wasn't just one fourth-tier monster queen, there were three.
Song Tianyang glanced at Qin Tian and frowned, saying, although I can defeat these demon queens, I might be in trouble if I face three at once.
So, I have a favor to ask, could you and your servant hold off one of them?
Qin Tian nodded almost without hesitation and said, of course, no problem.
With his current strength, he could easily defeat a fourth-tier monster queen in a one-on-one fight.
However, with this fourth-tier master around, he was too lazy to put his skills to good use.
Song Tianyang gave Qin Tian a thumbs up. Well done, brother. You're much better than those masters who don't dare to take responsibility.
He looked at them with disdain. Those useless masters who either ran away or died after seeing the queen were now left on the main battlefield, along with his and Qin Tian's groups.
It's up to you.
Having said that, he jumped down along the track, raised his hand, and released a blue magical light. The blue runes on the backs of his three attendants' hands also glowed, and three pillars of magical light shot into the sky.
My servants, assemble. The real war is about to begin. Qin Tian didn't sit idle either. He jumped down as well and used his magic to call Akemi and Aki back to his side.
At the same time, he found Mai and Ding Miao Miao and injected his magic into their bodies.
Mai, Ding Miao Miao, lend me your power.
Mai felt that familiar magic again, and every cell in her body cheered.
Her face was full of joy. No!
She's already grown to love this powerful feeling.
Ding Miao Miao screamed excitedly, wow! That's amazing! Is this why Aki and Akemi are so strong? Wah! Lord Qin Tian, please let me be your servant. Qin Tian replied, let's not talk about that. Let's take down this fourth-tier monster queen first.
Ding Miao Miao suddenly felt a pang of fear, but quickly became resolute.
Yes.
Qin Tian led the four women to a pillar of fire, his expression serious, as he watched a figure emerge from the pillar. Her red hair was dazzling, and her fair skin glowed pink in the firelight. She wore a long, jet-black trench coat that hugged her alluring figure. Her bare feet touched the ground, which then turned into lava. She carried a long sword, glanced at Qin Tian and the four servants behind him, and smiled slightly, beautiful and elegant.
If it weren't for the terrifying demonic aura emanating from him, one would have mistaken him for a powerful servant.
She gently stroked the long sword and said softly, full of love, destroy everything, azure flame. A circle of turquoise magic appeared beneath her feet, and terrifying magic lifted her up, making her float in the air. Mai's eyes widened, and she shouted, watch out. She's unleashed the queen's heart.
Chapter 26 The Clothes-Burning Maniac. Is this queen here to give out perks? The queen's heart. All monster queens who reach the fourth rank undergo tremendous changes in both strength and mind. They become more rational and begin to plan and strategize, unable to resist delicious food. If the rabbit that attacked Qin Tian had been at least level 4, she wouldn't have acted so recklessly in that place. Upon reaching the fourth rank, they are as if they have awakened, and based on their past experiences, they obtain different power cores, namely the queen's heart. They can use this core to control similar monsters and become true queens. The sign that the demon queen has unleashed her queenly heart is by showing a loving expression. As for why the demon queen unleashed her power through love, rather than through anger, greed, arrogance, or other emotions, that remains a mystery to this day. Even when you kill the demon queen, she may fall in love with the master or servant who killed her. Just like when Qin Tian killed that demon queen, she confessed her love for Qin Tian without reservation when she died, and wanted to be with Qin Tian in the afterlife. Qin Tian raised an eyebrow and shouted, she's here. Unlike the rabbit queen, the queen in front of her, who was holding a knife, was obviously more rational. She attacked Ding Miao Miao first, an opponent with the same attributes as her, but who could be crushed by her class. The long sword was wreathed in blue flames, and his figure transformed into a streak of fire as he flew toward Ding Miao Miao. With a single strike, he severed Ding Miao Miao's flaming guandao, the blade cleaving open her chest and burning her clothes to ashes. Ding Miao Miao was incredulous. The azure flame queen in front of her had a calm expression, as if killing her was as simple as eating and drinking. Just when Ding Miao Miao thought she was going to die, her flesh and blood regenerated, her wounds healed instantly, and her new skin was even whiter than before. She was incredibly surprised and looked at Qin Tian. Could it be that it was Lord Qin Tian's talent? Isn't Lord Qin Tian an F rank? Qin Tian noticed Ding Miao Miao's unusual behavior and lied, explaining, this is Ming Mei's second talent, healing.
I simply transferred her power into your body through a magical bridge.
Ding Miao Miao's eyes lit up. Lord Qin Tian is so amazing.
The Azure Flame Queen lowered her eyes slightly, seemingly surprised by the strange sight before her. However, she did not freeze, but instead swung her sword again, her eyes fixed on Ding Miao Miao's neck.
If she were beheaded, could she still be healed? Just then, Akemi arrived. The sword of light blocked the Azure Flame Queen's longsword and the blade that severed Ding Miao Miao's neck. The Azure Flame Queen noticed that the girl's arms had become incredibly thick, whereas just moments before they had been very thin and frail. Now is not the time to think about this, because a terrifying force has locked onto her. With eyes full of anger and hatred, Aki threw the wind spear in her hand. Go to hell! The Blue Flame Queen used Akemi's power to retreat and dodge the attack. Then, she spun in midair, landed, and instantly changed direction, attacking Mai. Mai was shocked, but she did not back down. She gripped the longsword formed from condensed lightning with both hands and faced the Azure Flame Queen. Boom! Mai's longsword, unable to withstand the weight, was broken. She barely dodged the fatal blow by turning to the side, but her clothes were burned by the flames, leaving only her purple undergarments. She didn't even have time to be shy. The Azure Flame Queen swung her sword again, and Mai could only use her broken sword to block. She was then sent flying, crashing into a large tree. The entire tree was covered in azure flames and instantly burst into flames. The Azure Flame Queen pressed her advantage and gave chase. Mai looked on in despair. Under the influence of her title, the Light of Despair Girl, she looked at Qin Tian, hoping that he could save her at this moment. Upon seeing this, Qin Tian immediately ordered, Aki, quickly save Mai. Yes. Aki hurriedly tried to stop her, throwing out several wind spears, but the Blue Flame Queen dodged them all, and it looked like Mai was about to be killed. Mingmei and Ding Miao Miao stood in front of Mai, and together they blocked the Azure Flame Queen's long sword, giving Mai time to stand up. At this moment, under the influence of the title, Mai's favorability towards Qin Tian reached its peak. The three exchanged glances, their minds seemingly aligned at that moment, and joined forces to attack the Azure Flame Queen, seemingly evenly matched. Aki, meanwhile, waited for the right moment to deliver a powerful blow to the Blue Flame Queen. Qin Tian nodded repeatedly as he watched the four girls work together. For someone facing a fourth-tier monster queen for the first time, this level of performance is already quite impressive. However, the Azure Flame Queen is only a fourth-tier being. When Mai, Akemi, and Ding Miao Miao launched an attack from three directions simultaneously, and the Azure Flame Queen's longsword could only block one side, her eyes turned blue. Boom! Endless blue flames surged from beneath her feet, crashing towards the three like ocean waves. Aki's spear of wind disappeared into the sea of fire without even a ripple. The sea of flames repelled the three men. Although they did not die, all the cloth covering their bodies was burned away, leaving them completely naked. After all, Qin Tian's healing ability can heal injuries, but it can't repair clothes. The three girls realized they were completely naked, and a wave of shame washed over them. How were they supposed to fight the Azure Flame Queen now? Qin Tian was the only one admiring the scene. Anyway, there was no one else around. The masters had either run away or were dead. What a magnificent sight! How did a battle that was supposed to be serious become so ambiguous? Was the Azure Flame Queen doing it on purpose, or by accident? However, he must give the Azure Flame Queen a big thumbs up. That's great. Anyway, as long as he's there, nothing can happen to the servants. He'll take care of things when the time comes. The queen, who was observing everything, couldn't help but burst into laughter when she saw Qin Tian's expression. What an interesting master! To be excited and happy about this. Her crimson fingernails gently traced the smooth ridgeline of her breasts, then landed on her rumbling belly. A slight smile played on her lips as she softly said, "It's not time yet." As for the battle with the fourth-tier master on the other side, she glanced at it briefly. If the fighting continued like this, her subordinates would suffer casualties. Now is not the time to sacrifice them. She just wants to know the strength of her opponents so she can make the right plan. Step down. She gave the order. The three fourth-tier queens stopped attacking, retreated into the sea of fire, and disappeared. All the fire monsters in the entire fairy tale amusement park also disappeared. If the entire amusement park hadn't been still burning, they would have thought they were just having a nightmare. Qin Tian frowned slightly as he looked at the devastated amusement park. Coming here to play, and it turned out like this, what a bad memory. Of course, there are also good memories, which are. Lord Qin Tian, don't look over here. Akemi screamed, hugged herself, and squatted on the ground.
Aki, whose clothes were the only ones that hadn't been burned, rushed over and draped the small suit jacket over Akemi's shoulders. She then discovered that her older sister Mai and Ding Miao were also naked.
But she only had one dress.
Qin Tian glanced at her furtively, then turned around, took off his clothes, and tossed them to Ma Yi and Ding Miao, leaving himself shirtless.
You can wear them first. Thanks.
Mai blushed deeply as she put on Qin Tian's shirt. The shirt still carried Qin Tian's warmth and scent.
Wrapped in the shirt, she felt as if she were being embraced by Qin Tian again, her face turning so red it was almost bleeding. The title of Harbor of Love Girls is also shining brightly, and under the influence of this dual title, even Mai, who is not good with words, has fallen for it. She felt she had to do something. I must become Qin Tian's servant. Ding Miao, wearing a large coat, cheered, Lord Qin Tian is so kind. So considerate. I will make sure you take me as your servant. After the barrier was lifted, the masters from the security bureau rushed to the scene and began the rescue operation. Song Tianyan from the crisis bureau was raging there. Damn it! Damn it! He ran away. Are you intimidated by my immense power?
I should have shown weakness first. Back at the villa, Qin Tian was deep in thought. He felt that the demon queens hadn't left because they were afraid of Song Tianyang. They must be plotting something.
Is this another attack targeting me? Chapter 27 Lord Qin Tian? I can't hold back any longer.
The thought sent a chill down Qin Tian's spine.
The demon queens could smell the scent of an SSS rank master, so they couldn't possibly be unaware that they were an SSS rank master. However, unlike the Black Rabbit, they didn't relentlessly pursue and kill them.
Instead, they suddenly retreated when it seemed like a fight to the death was about to break out.
The fact that the 4th-tier monster queen was able to retreat without hesitation suggests that a higher-ranking queen was giving the order.
They were all just the queen's subordinates.
To rise to a higher position? Could it be the 5th rank? Holy crap! A 5th-tier queen has already discovered me? But why didn't she act at that time? Because he was afraid of himself? Or is it out of fear of that 4th-tier master? Whatever it is, he needs to be careful. Not only that, he also needs to reach the 4th level as soon as possible. He has been training with Aki and Akemi lately.
Through the 100-fold return system, using the healing optimization ability, one can inject their own power into Aki and Akemi, receiving a 100-fold return. Although the optimization effect cannot inject too much power into a person in a short period of time, the returned power is still considerable. As he increases the number of servants, the cashback he receives may also increase.
Akemi, Aki, let's begin training and practice. Akemi and Aki, who were resting, trembled and blushed as they followed Qin Tian to the underground training ground. Mingmei looked at Qin Tian with concern. Lord Qin Tian, we just went through a great battle today, don't you want to rest? Aki also said, Master, there's no need to work so hard. Our magical energy is still circulating. Today's battle is enough for me to digest for a whole day. Qin Tian had no intention of letting them off the hook. Wouldn't it be foolish not to take the shortcut? Rest? Do you think I can sleep?
I can't sleep at all as long as those monster queens are dead, not to mention, I suspect there's an even higher queen behind them, directing them.
Mingmei's eyes widened in surprise. No way. A queen of even higher rank? That's a 5th-tier queen, isn't it? Aki swallowed hard. Oh my god. A 5th-tier queen has appeared in Donghai City. We must report this to the Master Servant Association. Qin Tian stopped Aki. It's no use talking to them. I'm just guessing. Do you want me to reveal that I'm an SSS rank master?
If that happens, a whole bunch of beautiful S-rank servants will probably come to me for contracts, and I might not be able to give you any individual training or real combat experience.
Mingmei suddenly shouted, No. Absolutely not. She grabbed Qin Tian's arm, looking pitiful, and said, I don't want Lord Qin Tian to be taken away. I will accept training in real combat, no matter how strict or cruel. I want to become stronger. Aki also hugged Qin Tian, anxiously saying, Master, it may be a bit selfish to say this, but I don't want you to have too many servants. You said you would take care of me and love me. You can't go back on your word. Qin Tian couldn't help but smile as he looked at the two girls' frightened expressions. How could he possibly reveal his SSS rank master identity so casually? If he only had one SSS level talent, it wouldn't matter, he would receive many preferential treatments and conveniences. However, he doesn't only have one SSS level talent, but two, and there may even be more in the future.
If my secret were discovered by those above, I might be imprisoned.
Strength. We must gain more power. You need to be at least at level 6. Only when he reaches the 7th rank will he have enough say and the ability to resist.
At the same time, he also wanted to build a powerful retinue. Thanks to the effects of the 2 titles, he had no need to worry about his servants betraying him. They would be his most loyal death servants. Of course, he wouldn't sacrifice such a lovely girl.
Don't worry, I was just joking. I can't train all those servants. Qin Tian patted Mingmei's head, and Mingmei looked pleased.
Aki pouted and brought her head to Qin Tian's side, as if she also wanted Qin Tian to stroke her. Qin Tian rubbed the 2 girls' heads and said, "Stop playing around and start training."
"I won't hold back this time. I'll beat you half to death. Anyway, as long as you're not dead, I can bring you back to life."
Akemi and Aki were trembling all over, but they still obediently picked up their weapons and stood opposite Qin Tian with serious expressions. This time, Qin Tian did not use a sword, but instead used the power he had previously plundered from the bloodstained black rabbit, the black blood chains and a scythe.
Swords alone are no longer enough to put pressure on them. Are you ready?
"I'm about to go in," Qin Tian reminded him. Mingmei's face was resolute as she shouted, "Lord Qin Tian.
Go! Don't hold back. Attack me hard. I can take it all."
Seeing Akemi's strength, Aki couldn't be outdone, and she shouted, "Master."
"Me too. No matter how you treat me, I won't have any complaints. Every attack you make is filled with love. I can feel it."
Qin Tian's heart raced when he heard them say that. He remained silent for a few seconds, and then released countless chains with scythes from behind him. These chains are all formed with magic and are modeled after the blood-stained black rabbit. The blood-red chains, like the tentacles of an octopus, attacked Akemi and Aki from all directions.
Mingmei gripped her longsword tightly, knocking away chain after chain.
Her eyes were sharp. She was no longer the Mingmei of the past. Facing the blood-stained black rabbit once again, she was absolutely confident that she could kill her opponent single-handedly.
However, her opponent is Qin Tian, the person who knows Mingmei's weaknesses best. 3 chains evaded Mingmei's nerve detection and attacked from an extremely tricky angle. Tear it apart.
Akemi's clothes were instantly torn apart by the scythe, and the chains wrapped tightly around her body like pythons, constricting her neck, especially around the neck, where the chains squeezed her hard. Her eyes rolled back, and she let out a weak groan.
Ouch. It hurts. It's so uncomfortable. I'm suffocating.
Mingmei, who was tightly sealed off, turned pale and then red, like a rose about to wither, tragically beautiful and broken. On the other side, Aki kept dodging the chains, constantly increasing the distance and not giving them a chance to get close.
However, Qin Tian would not let Aki off so easily.
He personally took action and rushed towards Aki. The scythe in his hand spun, cutting through Aki's training uniform and leaving countless slashes on her chest, creating a stunning contrast of white and red. Aki let out a wail, collapsed to the ground, her brows furrowed, looking utterly disheveled, like a chrysanthemum that had just weathered a storm.
Qin Tian shook his head, picked up Aki, released Akemi, and held them in his arms.
He then healed their injuries. In an instant, all their injuries were restored, except for the bloodstains on their clothes. Mingmei gently opened her eyes, looked at Qin Tian's face so close to hers, blushed, couldn't help but kiss Qin Tian, then covered her face and whispered, "I'm sorry, I couldn't even last a minute before I was defeated." Aki, on the other side of his arms, also woke up. Seeing that Akemi had actually kissed Qin Tian, she was incredibly bold. Her eyes widened, and then she closed them reluctantly, raised her chin, and pouted.
"Master, I want a kiss too. Just a kiss will make me stand up again."
Qin Tian reluctantly kissed Aki, but Aki took advantage of the situation and launched an attack on him.
Aki was completely satisfied.
She slightly raised the corners of her slightly swollen mouth, glanced at Akemi who was covering her face and peeking through her fingers, and felt extremely smug. Mingmei bit her lip, no longer shy, and hugged Qin Tian, then pushed him to the ground.
"Hey! Training isn't over yet," Qin Tian exclaimed in surprise.
As a result, Mingmei blushed and shouted, "Lord Qin Tian, you said it yourself, training is real combat."
"Real combat is training. I am training right now." Aki laughed and said, "Akemi, well done. Hello." The battle ended at 1 a.m. He looked at Akemi and Aki, who were exhausted and asleep on his body, and smiled. They have just optimized their bodies to their limits. As a knight, Mingmei's reflexes were still too poor, so he optimized her nerve sensitivity.
Aki is used to ranged combat, and her physical endurance is too poor. He optimized Aki's physical endurance so that during the actual combat just now, even when he attacked with all his might, she was able to withstand it. Looking at the two lovely girls, Jin Tian thought for a moment, then got up to prepare hot water for them, intending to wash away the sweat from their hard work.
While the water was being drained, Jin Tian's phone rang.
Upon looking at the caller ID, he was surprised to see it was Mai. He was a little puzzled. Why was Mai calling so late? After the call connected, he heard Mai say something.
Lord Jin Tian. I can't hold back any longer. Chapter 28. The door knocked at midnight. The god of war at the entrance. Hey! What are you saying? Jin Tian was shocked. Why did Mai's first words come out like this? What happened to her? Mai said, her voice trembling with tears, I don't know. I don't know. Ever since I came home, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. I feel like I'm going crazy. I've never felt like this before. But during the day, I don't know why, when I encounter danger, the first thing I think of is asking you for help. I always overcome problems on my own, but yesterday, I don't understand why I wanted to ask you for help the first thing. Jin Tian seemed to know why, because he had a title given to him by the system, Light of Desperate Girls, and any girl who encountered danger would immediately think of asking him for help. Once you help her, she will increase her loyalty and favorability towards you. Also, when you see me in a difficult situation, you give me the clothes to ease my distress, Mai continued, her voice trembling slightly. I don't understand why I cherish that piece of clothing so much. I have more comfortable clothes, but I hold it in my arms as if holding it is holding you. Jin Tian swallowed hard, as if he could see a beautiful young girl lying on the bed, curled up, clutching her clothes tightly to her chest, unwilling to let go. Etc. This seems to have triggered the second title. Harper of Love for Maiden's Achievement Effect. Maidens who receive your favor will have their affection for you greatly increased, and they will be willing to give their lives to repay your kindness. He quickly checked Mai's favorability rating. Holy crap! 100.
Mai's favorability rating was difficult to increase, but because of 2 titles and 2 actions, her favorability rating directly increased to 100. He seemed to understand why Mai had called in the middle of the night. This girl called him in the middle of the night because she was too infatuated with him and loved him too much.
Every second apart was agonizing. Mai continued, I thought about it all night, and I finally realized that I might have fallen in love with you. Yes, I have fallen in love with you. Only for you. I still miss the smell of that shirt. The image of you slaying that monster queen lingers in my mind. May I become your servant? Lord Jin Tian.
She shouted Lord Jin Tian very loudly, as if the sound was coming from nearby.
Etc. Nearby? Knock knock knock. The doorbell rang. Holy crap! A knock on the door in the middle of the night?
In his previous life, he might have suspected that they were ghosts, but in this world, ghosts don't exist.
They have another name, monsters. This is Master University. A yokai knocking on the door in the middle of the night is so suspicious. Aren't you afraid of being investigated by the patrol team? Knock knock knock. Lord Jin Tian, please open the door.
Mai's voice came not only from the phone, but also from the doorway.
Holy crap! Mai actually showed up at my house in the middle of the night. He immediately went to open the door.
The moment he opened the door, Mai pounced on Jin Tian and pinned him to the ground in the entryway.
Their eyes met.
Mai's eyes were filled with tears, her face was streaked with tears, and her stubborn little mouth trembled slightly. She closed her eyes tightly, then hugged Jin Tian's neck and kissed him on the lips with all her might.
Jin Tian swallowed hard. Why was Mai suddenly so proactive? Etc. Don't do that. This is the entryway. But Mai wouldn't let him go. Jin Tian wanted to push Mai away, but after feeling the overflowing love from her, he gave up. They had no choice but to accept their fate. Good heavens, the famous scene from Yuan Mao Kong actually happened to me. Although the character isn't a younger sister type like Sora, Mai, a mature and older sister type, still has her own unique charm. He could only pray that no one else would come, except for Mai. He didn't want to. With a creak, the door opened, and a flashlight shone on Jin Tian's face. A master complained in the middle of the night that someone was yelling and shouting, you know. The girl on patrol blushed with embarrassment upon seeing the scene before her and quickly apologized. I'm sorry. I didn't know Master had this hobby. I was wrong. Please don't complain about me. I don't want to lose my credits, I don't want to get a demerit, otherwise my favorite master will hate me. Qin Tian felt utterly hopeless. Whatever he didn't want to happen, happened. Now look what happened, the society is dead. The god of war at the entrance is a name he truly deserves. He tried to persuade Mai, but found that she had her eyes closed and didn't seem to care about anything, so he changed his target and said to the patrol girl, "Could you close the door? It looks like someone is coming." The girl quickly apologized again, "I'm sorry. Please don't complain about me. Don't report me. I really didn't mean to." Qin Tian's face twitched slightly, and he said again, "Close the door." As if caught in a loop, the girl said again, "I'm sorry. Please don't complain about me. Don't report me. I really didn't mean to." "Who is Lord Qin Tian?" Mingmei's voice came from behind, and Qin Tian thought to himself, "This is bad. Is this a trend that will make more people aware of this?" With a thud, Akemi collapsed to the ground, pointing at Qin Tian. "Lord Qin Tian, you. What are you doing here?" "Ah!" Aki cried out, "Sister. What are you doing? Get up. Everyone's watching." Mai hugged Qin Tian tightly, shouting, "No. No. I won't let go of Lord Qin Tian. Lord Qin Tian won't accept me as his servant. I will never let go. I will never be separated from you." He hugged Qin Tian tightly, his whole body convulsing, his heart pounding wildly, as if he were resonating with Qin Tian's heartbeat. Seeing that even more people were about to arrive, Qin Tian made a snap decision, picked up Mai, pulled the patrol girl inside, and then closed the door. Leaning against the door, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and relaxed completely. Then he looked at Mai, who was hugging him and crying and sobbing, and then at the three girls who were dumbfounded. I couldn't help but facepalm. These two titles are terrifyingly effective. How could Mai be turned into such a terrifying woman? He was about to say something to the girl on patrol when she spoke again, almost unconsciously. "I'm sorry. Please don't complain about me. Don't report me. I really didn't mean to. What a tragedy." Chapter 29, Accepting Mai's Confession. Qin Tian held Mai in his arms, waiting for her to calm down. Mai, who came to his house in the middle of the night, was wearing a thin red sundress. He held Mai and gently stroked her smooth back, patting it lightly. With her close at hand, I could feel her gradually soothing me. After things started to go as expected, he looked at the girl on patrol. "Don't talk nonsense about what you saw. If I find out, I will definitely report you and sue you for trespassing in the master's house." The girl pouted. It was Qin Tian who pulled her in, but he was saying that she had barged in. Oh well, what can she do when the other party is the master? They have a high status, and she's just a lowly servant. She can't afford to offend them. But how exciting that they did this in the entryway. She could never even dream of such a thing. Seeing this scene, Akemi's mind was in turmoil, and she began to have all sorts of wild thoughts. Why would Mai do something so impulsive? It's midnight. She ran straight to Qin Tian's house and tackled him in the entryway. If Lord Qin Tian were to collapse in the entryway, the door behind him could be opened at any moment. Ouch! She covered her face, feeling ashamed just imagining it. Akemi felt her face burning. What was she thinking? Why am I being so sensitive? Could it be that Lord Qin Tian is really annoying? Raising her nerve sensitivity this much will break her. In contrast, Aki's emotions were much more stable. Seeing her sister make such a fool of herself, the image of the excellent sister she had in her mind instantly collapsed. Although it is true that Lord Qin Tian is an SSS rank master, which is very rare, there is no need to take such extreme actions. She stepped forward and put her hand on Mai's shoulder,